It should be painfully obvious to anyone that's been following all of this that it is clear the government thinks that you are an idiot. They think you are a drooling, stupid Cro-Magnon that will just happily swallow anything they put into your mouth and not think anything more of it, so they don't even need to try when it comes to the cover-up of the Jeffrey Epstein case. There is now a desperate push from Trump and a lot of paid shills to convince the public that the Jeffrey Epstein thing is no big deal and that it's all now a hoax. It has now been officially labeled by Trump and people on the payroll here as a hoax. And they are legitimately laughing at you and actually giggling. They cannot help but have like an actual Santa Claus ho 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 belly laugh at this play here, this fucking play that John Madden's playbook wouldn't even have in it, about how they're just going to tell you that all of it's not real a week ago, and now they're telling you it is real, but it's actually like a big fake hoax from Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the Democrats. And for some people, that's enough. He hit the big buzzwords, so it must be true. So now a lot of people are running with that, like, we gotta move on from this Epstein thing, it's all fraudulent. He said so. Even though Trump literally campaigned as one of his promises to deliver this Epstein information, the client list. Now he is calling it a hoax. Now I want to mention something up top here that I'm very curious to see how it plays out. Yesterday I covered the amendment that was put forth that got fucking smacked down at the Royal Rumble, where there was an amendment put forth that would try and force the DOJ to release the Epstein client list and all that shit. And it got voted against unanimously by the Republicans voting to block it. Democrats voted unanimously to not have it be blocked, so that way they could at least have a debate about the Epstein files and the handling of it. It didn't go to the next step. It got stopped there, and there was a lot of like citing of confusion and how like, well, actually no, that's not what the vote was for because it was attached to the Genius Act, which is a different cryptocurrency legislation, so they were voting to not do that, and then this was slapped on top of it, so they had to vote no or else it'd give the floor to the Democrats or something, but ultimately the end result was the same. It got blocked. Well, today there's a new proposal that's getting put forth that is aiming to do something similar in a different way that has support from all the Democrats and 7 Republicans as of now, but apparently even more will be co-signing it, about releasing the Jeffrey Epstein client list and that kind of shit. So I'm very curious to see how that unfolds. I'll go ahead and play you a little bit here where they interviewed.
And tomorrow.
And this is to force, this is a discharge petition, right? It's going to force this bill onto the floor of the House. And then what does it say?
So it's both the discharge petition and the bill. It's the discharge petition is to force it on the House. The way it works is Thomas Massie and I introduced it yesterday. It takes 7 legislative days before you can actually go through the discharge petition. We're likely going to be in August recess. So the reality is it probably will come up for a vote after the August recess. And the bill says to release all evidence for the Epstein file, but it makes it clear that does not include any of the victim information. It does not include any child pornography. It gives the DOJ the ability to protect the victims, but to release all the other evidence and files.
So here.
Now, I'm not the most knowledgeable person. I'm a fucking Neanderthal when it comes to most things, but from the sound of things here, it seems like this is a step in the right direction to maybe finally getting justice for the victims here of Epstein and all of his clients, instead of what's currently happening where the current administration is just trying to bury it and being very clear that they're not even fucking pursuing any kind of action against all of the people they have all this evidence on and not releasing any of the client list information. This seems like it's trying to force that to come forward and maybe eventually, hopefully, get those criminals thrown in jail for all of the crimes they've committed. I guess we'll see how it all shakes down, but I wanted to mention this up top because it seems like it is finally getting to a point where there is some kind of legislation being drafted to try and push this issue more forward. Now, let's talk about how Trump continues to handle this. He is like full-blown melting down about the whole thing and fully lashing out at his own base now. He is attacking even his most adamant supporters over the Epstein case. He's even saying with his whole floppy chest that you are a bad person if you care about the Epstein stuff, saying that it's boring and nobody should care, even criticizing his own base, calling out his most loyal MAGA supporters, all the enthusiasts, calling them weaklings if they care about this and how they're falling for a big scam, hook, line, and sinker into a Democrat galaxy brain chess maneuver here, and actually like, I wasn't exaggerating, they are literally laughing about it.
It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say, let them have it.
So there you hear it. Now, to some of you, the copium's going to set in. You're going to say, hey, he said the credible information, we can release it. We should release it, and we'll talk about that. But they also say in the same interview, we already released the credible information.
And the credible information's been given.
So if it's already been given, they're not going to give you more stuff.
Coffeezilla recently just covered this section here beautifully. I'm just going to show you a couple of clips here from it where that guy next to Trump actually couldn't contain his laughter. He was howling like someone went over there and started tickling him because of Trump's statement here about Epstein, calling people bad people if they care about this. Literally one of the biggest pedophiles in history. Now all of a sudden it's boring, nobody should care, and actually you're a weakling, coward, weirdo, loser, bad person if you do care. So he's trying to get people to like attack others who give a shit about this, which is crazy. Because imagine being this brain-dead fucking bumbling homunculi on Twitter that is now attacking people that are calling attention to this. When keep in mind, Trump himself actually had a crucial component of his campaign talk about the Epstein client list and all of that information and how he was going to be so transparent and release it to the public because of how important it is. Not just Trump, other people in the administration as well made same promises that are now flip-flopping on it. This is pure concentrated lunacy. It is unhinged. And I cannot believe that he is just saying this. Like, not even like tiptoeing around it. He is just full-on saying it. Fucking wet spot in his goddamn diaper here, just saying it in front of the cameras multiple times now. Like, this is an element you won't find on the periodic table, the element of surprise, because I am shocked by this and how people are actually okay with the statement. He is saying that you are a piece of shit if you are trying to get answers about the biggest child predator of all time and all of the evil associates that are getting away with the unthinkable crimes they committed. There have still been no arrest or anything even close to it, and he is now calling even people in his most tight-knit groups of enthusiasts that sing his praises and suck farts out of his butt all fucking day, calling them weaklings if they care about this. It's unbelievable. Oh, also, there's a little interesting tidbit of lore about the guy who was laughing next to Trump.
The guy next to Trump looking on and laughing as Trump says this is a big nothing burger. The only people who would deal in this kind of talk are fake news. That is Epstein's neighbor. That is Howard Lutnick, who has a house that was next to Epstein's place. You can see him laughing here.
Isn't that fascinating? If this was a TV show, people would criticize this for bad writing, being like too in your face. I mean this legitimately. The government thinks you are a fucking imbecile. They think you are a buffoon that can't think for themselves at all, can't rationally, sensibly think about anything, so they can just piss in your face and tell you it's raining, and you'll smile about it and nod and say, thanks, you're right. I mean, and I guess they're actually kind of right here because there are so many people that are just buying into this and moving on from it.
Yeah. Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your Attorney General told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen of that?
No, it's not the Attorney General. No, I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And
does he just actually think everyone in this country is Drew Barrymore from 50 First Dates that just forgets everything after a few seconds? Goober, you literally made the promise multiple times that you would release the Epstein information and all of that shit. People around you made the same promises, and now it's just crickets and just falling in line with your delusional attempt here to convince people that it's all some kind of hoax. Nobody is buying that. Nobody that's not on payroll, that is buying that. It is absurd. If this was constructed by the Democrats, surely they would have used it as a weapon against you for the last 4 fucking years that you just mentioned. They would have definitely dropped this information as a means of attacking you. Literally anybody could tell you the same thing. the immediate question that gets raised in people's heads when you keep spreading this stupid fucking lie about it being some kind of engineered hoax is, well, why are you just now saying that when you campaigned on releasing this information? It was a part of your campaign. If it's all just a big hoax. And not even just part of the, like, in his first couple months in the office, he also made a big song and dance about the Epstein files and how they're coming. He even had fucking the file folders distributed to a bunch of fucking drones, a bunch of androids that were parading it around and taking prom pictures with the Epstein files phase 1, who also are now being called weaklings by Trump because they cared about the Epstein files. So he is actually calling those people that he gave those files to fucking weaklings, and says, he did say he doesn't want that kind of support anymore for anyone that cares about Epstein. So he is actually also calling those people weaklings as well. Not that I think they give a shit. They probably enjoy the humiliation here from him. I have no idea. But, like, it's crazy because he has also made a big deal of it, and now all of a sudden, it's nothing. No one cares about it. It's all just a big act. It's a hoax, actually. None of it's real. It's all fraudulent from the fucking Democrats or something.
It's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. No, it's I call it the Epstein hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements we've had.
He's not being shy about it. Like, he's not being timid. He's not over here, like, under his breath saying these things. He is actually just full-blown multiple times saying how stupid people are if they care about Epstein case and all of the evil people that have gotten away with it that are actively being covered for by this administration. Also, the previous administration as well. Anyone that's ever cared about the Epstein case apparently is stupid in Trump's eyes and has been deceived by an elaborate Democrat hoax, which they never actually used for some fucking reason. I guess, because that makes sense. It's demented. He has latched onto this titty hard and is trying to suck all the milk it can possibly get from this narrative that nobody is believing. No real people, that is. He is so desperately on his hands and knees, crawling, groveling, begging people to move on from it, trying to even give it like a title. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And then again calling out his supporters, saying that they bought into the bullshit and that they haven't learned their lesson, never will. And it's just crazy. Like, he is actually even attacking his own base now. He says, let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think of talking of our incredible and unprecedented success because I don't want their support anymore. You can literally hear him crossing his arms in that statement. Well, I don't want their support anymore anyway. Like a child mad at their parents because they didn't get a cookie after dinner or something. It's so pathetic. I really don't understand how just a normal person could see all of this and still just write it off as no big deal and be supportive of the way he is handling this shit and the administration, the way they're handling it. It's incomprehensible to me. Now, I understand people who are pretending to be okay with it because they're getting some doubloons under the table for it, no doubt. But this, like, any sensible person would see this and immediately smell the shit. It's just so fucking nuts how blatant this is. And it's, I just can't help but keep talking about it. I can't stop yapping about it. It is unreal. So anyway, that's really about it. See ya. You all know how much I love conspiracies, reptilians, flat earth, the revival of JFK Jr. and his upcoming presidency announcement, 5G, Wi-Fi, reprogramming gamer DNA, fucking microchips hidden in our spaghetti. I love all of it. But what if I told you there's a new and growing conspiracy that makes all of these look rational? I'm talking about the secret space program. The secret space program, to break it down, is basically a group of people who believe that they were at one point selected by space Nazis to fight intergalactic threats, and they are augmented super soldiers that have lived on Mars for 300, 400 years in some cases. They command high-tech mechs like Gurren Lagann shit straight out of an anime, And it's people who genuinely believe this. They have their own seminars, the meet and greets, they have their own community. I was recently made aware of this thanks to a YouTuber named Oki's Weird Stories, a fantastic channel, and a lot of work went into a video he produced where he talked about and infiltrated this conspiracy group. It's truly amazing. We watched it on stream, and I'll play clips of that now. But I'd encourage you to watch the full video to get like the absolute all-encompassing experience, because I can't do it justice. There is so many layers to this onion, not even Shrek could get to the bottom. It's fucking amazing. But my god, I was blown away by what I was seeing and learning. So I've of course done my own research on it now, and it is even better than I could have possibly imagined. The secret space program is where LARPing, fanfic, and main character syndrome all collide into this singularity, this fucking supernova of entertainment. It is amazing, and it wouldn't be nearly as enjoyable if people didn't actually believe it. From everything I can see, this isn't some kind of joke movement or anything. Like, of course you have the fun ones like birds aren't real, but you all know, and not to spoil the surprise or ruin Christmas, tell you Santa's not real, the birds not real movement is made as a joke. And I know that's kind of blasphemous to say, but in comparison to the secret space program, which is taken very seriously.
Person for the White Dragon Society. With me here is Chodoin Daikaku. He's the head of the world's martial arts societies, and if necessary, and in an emergency, he can summon up an army of 200 million people worldwide.
This guy? This guy looks like a sex doll. Is there a human being here? Or, like, the quality's so bad I can't even tell. Is this flesh? He can summon up an army of 200 million people, and he's the head of the world's martial arts committee?
Here on my right is Alexander Romanov, who is a grandmaster of an Illuminati group that claims to have started the French, Russian, and American revolutions.
Wow.
Imagine if someone told you they lived out the plot of the movie Total Recall. That they thought they were living a regular life until one day they recovered memories of being a secret agent fighting an evil organization on Mars.
I'd say that's a fucking good man.
Who is an Akashic reader, healer, and telepath. And he also remembers being in a facility that trained his shapeshifting abilities, in which I was also a participant of. He recalls experiences
Can you still
as a
shapeshift?
super soldier in Kruger, and has done training missions with zombies and vampires.
Well, there was one kid.
There were zombies and vampires on Mars?
There was another a female that
surely we could
turned
cure
into an eagle,
zombieism,
and that was used for surveillance. I myself was a blue wolf.
Upon realizing this, I started to formulate a plan. What if I made up a story about being in the secret space program?
Well, that's all they do.
James' show
Yeah.
and share it
See,
with his
I mean,
community.
that's easy.
And that's how I finally found an angle that compelled me enough to make a video about this topic.
You don't join the SSP, swine.
So if my
You
goal
were
still sounds too
chosen.
vague to you, I set up a criteria for 2. Get onto a major platform.
Well,
within
just
the
say you're part of the
community as
Blue
a
Wolf
whistleblower and share my
shape-shifting crew.
experience. I developed
Easy.
this criteria after thinking what's required to become an SSP whistleblower. Before World War II, the Nazis, who were interested in mysticism and alternative views, searched the planet for fantastical powers. They found Maria Orsak, a medium and leader of the Vril Society, who channeled Nordic and Draco reptilians who offered the
Holy shit,
Nazis
this
the
is a lot.
schematics behind anti-gravity technology and UFOs. The Draco reptilians
I
told
always
the
knew
Nazis
this was
about ancient alien
happening
technology hidden in
somewhere.
Antarctica, and in 1938, the Nazis traveled there. And by 1950, the Nazis were on Mars.
The new Schwabenlanders didn't want to support Hitler at the end of the war because they considered him.
Let me catch up on the lore myself here at base 211. The new Schwabenlanders. Was that like a real division in the Nazi Germany, or is that just what the secret space program made up? The new Schwabenlanders. No evidence. Bro, we don't use the E word when we're talking about the secret space program. We just feel it. They have unlocked memories, dumbass. Evidence. Fuck. What are you? Huh? Some kind of science believer? Idiot.
insane. In the
This
final
guy's lived for
solution.
330
So there
years
was
on
already a
Mars.
split.
In
Okay,
SSP
you don't
lore,
understand.
The Nazis capable of space and
facts
time travel
yet.
became the Fourth Reich.
You don't have
And
the
they pissed
lived
off to Antarctica in
experience.
space while refusing to proceed and began an aggressive expansion out into the solar system, setting up
So is the
bases
entire
on
secret
moons
space
around Saturn,
program
the
Nazis?
Kuiper belts, and etc. Capable of time travel, the space Germans also traveled back in time to settle on planets around the galaxy.
In their own lore, they made themselves Nazis? Why? So they're part of the new Schwabenlanders? Alright, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go say goodnight to Tiana. And then maybe interrogate her to see if she's part of the secret space program and she's lying to me.
Offering services to help recover secret space program related memories. At the top of the list was James, and for $200 USD, I could book a guided meditation regression session with him.
Draco reptilian humanoid hybrid, and then I think I also got like Anunnaki.
Do you know who you might have been in a past life?
Have you heard like the Black Samurai Yasuke?
You were a samurai?
Yeah. Dude, hold on. I'll show you something. Check this out.
That's pretty dope. And I was a gladiator.
Oh no, that's awesome.
Oh wow.
The goal here, I want us.
He
to
could
get
learn a
to
lot from
hyperspace.
James.
Let's put a gold sheet thought into it. Just imagine what do you think?
Imagine
would be
Oki just
behind that
becomes a
door?
real believer.
So let's start with that and tell me what you see.
I see Kevin Spacey, or his clone.
Paul Serene, he was on the governing council of the ICC. So his clone is Kevin Spacey.
We're in a gymnasium.
Wait, what? So wait, is that part of SSP lore? Kevin Spacey is like a figurehead in the secret space program? Oh, okay, so Monarch is responsible for human trafficking, sex, mind control, experiments, and chemtrailing. I knew it. Fucking Kevin Spacey was behind it all, that son of a bitch. Evil bastard thought he got away with it. Didn't expect us to be hot on his trail. Luckily we broke away from Atlantis though, so we cut the connection. But Kevin Spacey himself is a clone of Paul.
We're in I think I see.
Oh, nice. Thanks for rubber feet.
Mr. Beast.
Today, we will be planting 20 million trees.
Okay, so they're probably programming him. But he's the guy that was near to give away a bunch of free stuff on the videos.
Yeah.
They must have looked into his future and okay.
So a few days later, I traveled to Las Vegas and landed at around 12 p.m. after a 4-hour plane ride.
Man, he went all in for this video.
I'm here.
Traveled fucking 5,000 miles for a 45-minute interview.
Disclosure, 5D events.
This is going to be an exercise in patience for me.
No, this is going to be an eye-opening experience for everyone. We're all going to leave here thinking we're super soldiers from space.
Golden Nugget.
And experience this up on the starship.
Is he the only one here?
I spoke with the commander, the Arcturian commander, who I am connected to.
That's how we connect?
This concert, this Travis Scott concert, where 800 people were injected with these drone mosquitoes. You know, you see that, wow, they can go around.
So that's
and
what
inject
happened.
people.
Jesus Christ. It is so hard to believe that people like that exist, man. Not only exist, but have other people that believe them. Like, they have influence over other people. That's fucking wild. Think about that for a second. I've said this a million times. No matter how stupid you are or how outrageous your beliefs, you will always have an audience thanks to the internet. You will always find people that agree with you, support you, worship you, or just at the very least provide camaraderie in a positive echo chamber because you are connected to everyone at all times through Twitter and Facebook. So that guy who thinks at the Travis Scott concert 800 people were injected with, what was it? Some super space mosquitoes or whatever. He's got 100 other people in his Facebook group that all think the same thing. Wild.
We get to go to how to become a Jedi warrior.
I'm excited about that one.
That should be,
That's gonna
yeah,
be
that should be
amazing.
productive.
Unfortunately, when we showed up to the How to Become a Jedi Warrior workshop, no one was there, not even the speaker, so it was canceled.
We just got in here. We have no idea.
Oh man, what the
anybody
fuck? Well, they're too busy having sex, I
Yeah,
bet.
just gave up.
On Mars.
Quantum spoon bending, parentheses, bring your own spoons. Close parentheses.
And the quantum spoon bending lesson was underwhelming since, instead of learning how to bend a spoon with our minds, we were instructed to physically do it with both hands.
What the fuck? It's real! Oh my god.
While walking around the venue, I noticed that James had sent me a text inviting me to his hotel room for an interview. Suddenly, a wave of anticipation and euphoria washed over me. This was it. Finally, after several months,
He ends
the
up getting like
moment I've been
Harvey
waiting for had
Weinsteined by
arrived.
James.
I ran back to the workshop room, found Night Docs, filmed the interview, and to get to Jay's hotel room as soon as possible.
Night Docs,
Time
go
was
with
of
him.
the essence.
Keep him safe.
Therefore, being late
Oh
was
my
not an
god.
option. Night Docs, who was behind me, was still trying to attach
super
his
soldier's
camera to the
unpredictable.
gimbal, which would not fit. By then, any nervous anticipation I felt leading up to this face-to-face sit-down had completely dissipated.
Yeah, you
I
just
was
get to
calm,
come in here
knowing
and
that I was more than
make
prepared
some
to
shit
speak
up.
about my time in the secret
Have some
space
fun.
program in a convincing manner. The interview lasted 1 hour, and here's what happened.
Okay, so my name is Oki. So it started from before I was even born, where they genetically enhanced my DNA. And by the time I was 6, I was put into a special program run by Monarch. I was under direct tutelage of Paul Serene, Kevin Spacey's clone. There was 12 children.
Oh my god. Luckily, James didn't pick up on that. He just got the lore wrong. Paul Serene is not the clone of Kevin Spacey, Oki. Kevin Spacey is the clone of Paul Serene. Oh my god, the whole operation just went tits up. There's no way James didn't just... Oh my god, there's no way James didn't pick up on that. Oh my god. He blew it. He fucking blew it. SSP's on his tail now.
Who were trained
He's hunted.
directly
He's a
under
hunted
him,
man.
including myself and the YouTuber Mr. Beast.
So
every method they could to use MK Ultra programming and to create killing machines, and I was able to just look at a photo of a target and make their head explode. Because I mean, there was billions of dollars spent on each and every single one of us. I particularly liked
That sounds like Kevin Spacey's research.
I liked my my 2 daggers. I had a form of EMP that I could take out there.
He's a Reddit assassin.
In my past life, I was
on Mars.
Yasuke, the Black Samurai.
Did any of your clones ever get changed into a zombie?
I had a clone.
I like how that's one of James' core questions. Have any of your clones been changed into a zombie? James makes it sound like he doesn't even know what the fuck a zombie is. He makes it sound like it's a state of mind. The clones would have to die first, James, and then Kevin Spacey and Paul Serene would have to do a fusion dance in order to bring out the proper necromancy on Mars at the Knockwaffen to revive them, for them to be zombies, James. Jesus Christ. He's getting lost in his own sauce. He's not even following his own rules in the secret space program.
That clone actually was fighting zombies and vampires, and there was also Yetis that they were fighting.
What about vampires? Do you recall any scenarios fighting vampires?
He just said that, James.
This particular thing.
He's killed 1,000 of them with his bare hands.
Is that they can't help but count. From what I remember, most clearly is
He
that
wanted
I
that
do
so
have
bad.
many different clones of myself with used pretty much as like kamikaze pilots.
Typically, at least what I heard, black people require a different protocol of brainwashing.
Time flew by, and I was struck by the effortlessness
The super soldier is many things, but a coward he is not. He will ask the hard-hitting questions. He will go where no other space program super soldiers will.
story which I crafted. I spoke for 1 hour.
He actually
with ease
fucking
and
said
told my
that.
story so coherently. I was playing a role. And even though I created the role, while I was performing it, it was like a switch in my brain went off and everything I said felt real.
That's
At that moment, I
100%
managed to
true.
delude
That's how
myself
it
and
works.
Speak matter-of-factly about
That's
being
why these
trained
communities
by Kevin
exist.
Spacey's clone along with Mr. Beast. Whistleblower testimony that they've heard on James's channel so far. And one person even said that they cried the whole way through the video. So that's that.
Oh my god. Hold on, I want to read that. I'm so sorry you had to do that. Thank you for your bravery. Oh man. God, like, to a certain extent, I feel bad for them. Not in particular the secret space program, like them too, but in general, people that truly believe these things, like wholeheartedly separate themselves from reality to exist in this new made-up world. It is sad to a certain level. God, that was amazing. This is criminally underrated for the work that went into this. Dude flew out from Canada to Las Vegas to a secret space program meeting in order to have an interview with the #1 figure in secret space program super soldier lore. The 330-year-old ass-beating, ass-eating super Goliath James. Wow, what a crazy day, huh? No foreplay, we're just gonna get right into the actual meat here. So, there's been a big falling out between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I'm not sure all the particulars around it. I wasn't a little fly on the wall that observed everything that led to this crumbling relationship, but it is messy. Maybe Trump found out about Elon's stolen valor in Path of Exile. He said, you're a fraudulent Path of Exile player, scram, get out of here. I don't know. It was pretty shocking to see, considering that only like a month or two ago, Elon made this post about loving Donald Trump as much as a straight man could. And it really seemed like they had a really, like, bubbly relationship. They were always giddy around each other, like fucking frolicking through flowers, it seemed. And then out of nowhere, it just blows up like a fucking septic tank here. Now there's shit spewing everywhere. So it was... a relationship ended on not good terms. And it culminated with Donald Trump threatening to cut Elon Musk's government contracts. And that is when the dam really broke. Elon got out his best ketamine cocktail and hit the Thunderdome, the only arena he's ever known, Twitter, saying things like, without me, Trump would have lost the election, Dems would control the House, and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude. I can already just picture Elon at his desk doing one of these. Such ingratitude. Like a 90s anime villain. And then he really rolled up his sleeves and said, no more Mr. Nice Guy, bub. And he hit him with a big-time uh-oh spaghetti-o when he dropped this. Time to drop the really big bomb. At the real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. An absolute bomb. I haven't been this surprised since I was a freshman in high school playing in the Students vs. Parents Wiffle Ball tournament, and I was jogging to first base, and one of the dads hit me with like an E-Honda Level 3 Super. I mean, this guy clobbered my shit, and he sent me straight to the hospital with a broken wrist. This came out of nowhere. I don't think even Baba Vanga could have predicted this. It was stunning. It's a massive claim here, and it's one that also makes people raise an eyebrow at Elon Musk, because if it's true, then naturally people question, why would Elon Musk be all buddy-buddy, suckling the nipples of Trump's titties, knowing that he was on the Epstein flight list doing illegal, evil shit, if it's all true? Because he's now also retweeting things about Trump's link to Epstein, like this here with a party that Trump was at with Epstein in the 90s, or this about the times that he flew on Epstein's planes. And he puts his cringe fucking emojis every time. Half of his tweets are usually just like emoji reaction shits, but he's very clearly making the accusation directly, like in his own words, that Trump is on the Epstein flight logs, and that is the whole reason that he is prohibiting their release. And then he's retweeting these things with, like, raised eyebrow emojis, like, curious, interesting. He's retweeting this connection that he's showcasing here, and clearly making a statement about it. He's not just saying, like, Trump had a connection to Epstein, he flew on these planes, but nothing happened probably. He is clearly trying to say that something must have happened there because he's using this as a way of attacking Trump. He even retweeted this from Ian Gobbles Dick for Miles Chong, saying that Trump should be impeached and J.D. Vance should replace him. He not only retweets it, but just agrees with it flat out, saying yes. This is crazy. And again, if this claim is true and Elon Musk knew all about it, it's very odd that he would choose to work so closely with and be so friendly with somebody like that. Now, all of this led to today being a historic day for COPE. I swear to God, a century from now, the most grizzled, seasoned veteran copeologists will look back on June 5th, 2025 as the biggest day of COPE in this nation's history. The amount of mental gymnastics and shit I've seen with people trying to explain what's actually happening here as like a 5D chess maneuver between Trump and Elon Musk is just pathetic. It would be comical if it wasn't so sad. I have seen so many posts speculating that all of this is a genius ploy, a ruse, in order to force the Epstein files to come out. Let that marinate for a moment. I really want you to stew with that thought process. Those are living, breathing people that actually think that. Why the fuck would that be their plan? Or anybody's plan for that matter? What a dog shit strategy. That is a worse idea than Concord. You're telling me that the President of the United States would willingly work with Elon Musk to have him be insinuated a pedophile in order to try and get the Epstein files to come out? Just stop for a minute. Just fucking put down the stupid pills. The President of the United States could 100% force these files to come out if he was felt so inclined to. He wouldn't need to be used like a fleshlight by Elon Musk publicly in order to raise awareness on the Epstein files and try and put pressure on their release. And it's not like the Epstein files were ever lacking awareness. That's like the number one thing every citizen in this country has wanted to be released since this happened. It has been a circus with this shit for years, even before Trump. Under Biden, too. These files will never see the light of day. They incriminate way too many powerful people on both sides of the political aisle. Like, 100%, I don't think they're ever coming out, and if they ever do, it's so hard to trust them now with how much they could have been tampered with over the years. Like, this is a stupid theory. The most plain and simple thing just unfolded in front of you. A relationship soured, and Elon felt Trump was attacking him, and he has proven that he is very much a strong proponent of revenge and trying to get even or fight back against someone he believes slighted him. He has done this many, many times in the past. For example, probably his most famous one was years ago with the cave situation where some people were trapped in a cave. Elon suggested using the submarine to help. A diver said that it wasn't going to be effective. They got into like an argument, and then Elon randomly called the diver a pedophile. Led to a lawsuit and everything, but the point is, he has proven that if he believes someone is like insulting him or belittling him, Elon will seek vengeance and like lash out against them. He has proven numerous times that he is going to retaliate if he feels that someone has insulted him, and now he's doing just that, something he's done millions of times in the past. I don't think there's any deeper layers to this onion. I don't think these are actually calculated galaxy brain maneuvers going on the back end with the two of them working together or anything like that. Now, I have read conflicting reports about like the Epstein files are actually coming out this time, which will be like the 300th song and dance we've had with this. So I guess we'll see if they actually do follow through this time, or if they're just going to drop the exact same files for the 30th remix. They have dropped the same Epstein shit, the same Epstein information, more times than Naughty Dog has dropped Last of Us remasters. Like, I'm expecting if they do actually do anything with the Epstein files, it'll be the same thing they've done multiple times before, but I guess we'll see. Either way, though, what a crazy day. This falling out between Elon Musk and Trump has been unbelievable. Like, actually unbelievable. And I wonder if Elon's going to continue just, like, tweeting out bombs like this. Like, he had so much access to, like, government information and shit. Like, is he just going to start leaking national secrets and all of that? Like, the amount that even just came out today was astonishing. Like, he was leaking more shit than my butt after eating anything with dairy in it. And I wondered, is he going to keep doing that? Or are tempers going to, like, I don't know, like, simmer down? Are they going to try and meet in the middle and, like, try and shake hands once again and not be on bad terms? Like, I do wonder, because he was deep in the government. He probably did have access to, like, very sensitive information, and he has just proven today, like, he is more than willing to just go on Twitter and just air some shit out. Again, they are just allegations right now. He hasn't proven anything about this, but still, crazy day for sure. That's really about it. See ya. Everything happening with the Jeffrey Epstein case gets more and more unfathomable by the day. It's like the plot to Moonfall, how it just continuously gets more insane as it goes. We are now looking at the possibility that Ghislaine Maxwell might potentially receive a pardon of some kind. You know, the co-conspirator to Jeffrey Epstein, the most notorious sex trafficker, pedophile in the world, his partner, by the way, the only person to ever face any repercussions for their involvement in Epstein's crimes, is potentially looking at a pardon. Is that not the most sickening thing you could possibly imagine? So what's happening now is this administration has fully kegeled the orb of confusion, and they've completely stopped pretending to give even the slightest fuck about the Epstein files. They're not even dropping morsels of information regarding that anymore. Instead, they've shifted their focus to Ghislaine Maxwell, whom is somehow drumming up quite a bit of support from like chunks of the MAGA team, Squad MAGA. Like, there are people unironically cheering for Ghislaine Maxwell as if she's some kind of fucking hero right now. She is a child sex trafficker. What is happening to the world? But now, since the administration has completely given up on ever releasing the Epstein files, it seems, they are talking with her and dangling a potential pardon and recently like this limited immunity in her face. Which, if you have your thinking caps on, if your IQ is, above 60, you should be able to recognize how manipulative this is. Why would you not release the Epstein files? You have them. Well, actually, if you follow the storyline, if you follow the lore from all of the seasons of this anime, first, there were no Epstein files, there was no blackmail, it was just Epstein, there were no, extensive list of clients that were implicated in his crimes or anything. Then all of a sudden, no, there actually is a list, but it was all made up by the Democrats. It was a Democrat hoax, orchestrated by Obama and crooked Hillary and all of that. And now all of a sudden, we gotta go talk to Ghislaine Maxwell to get that list. As of now, she's allegedly been asked about 100 different names, but I can't get into the spaghetti and the meatballs of it because none of it's being done publicly. All of that is happening behind closed doors for some weird reason. But if those names are people implicated in Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, they need to face justice, and the question needs to be asked, are they even going to be prosecuted at this point? Because it's been years and still nothing is happening. The files are still not coming out, but now for some reason the focus has shifted away from the files to now talking to Ghislaine Maxwell to get a list of people, which I find to be very peculiar. To me, what this seems like is whatever list they have, they can't scrub the names off it that they'd like to, so thus they just, that hot potato is never coming out. So instead, they're going to shift focus to Ghislaine Maxwell, who is someone they can have, absolve those they want absolved. Because if there is a pardon on the table, you bet your sweet bippy she will motorboat whoever's tits are required there in order to get that. She's not going to implicate people that don't want to be implicated if it could cost her that pardon. It's very clear she will give the names that are going to be the names they want released and omit the ones that they don't want out into the public. It just, to any sensible human being, this should be a huge red flag. You have all of this evidence, all of these Epstein files. You are not releasing them. Instead, now you are going to Ghislaine Maxwell to give names, and you are meeting with her privately. None of this is being done publicly, by the way. They're meeting with her privately.
Are we really about to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? That's the story we're going to go over today. Look, we know that Bill Clinton knew Ghislaine Maxwell. We know Trump knew her as well. We know he wished her well, but previously this was unthinkable as she is literally the only person, the only co-conspirator who's ever faced any consequences for the abuse that Epstein did.
Now, right off the bat, I've seen a lot of shift in the focus here to Bill Clinton, about Bill Clinton's involvement with Epstein and all of the children. Yeah, I have no doubt Bill Clinton not only went to the island numerous times, that dude was probably there doing unspeakable crimes so frequently he probably had his own fucking suite built there. Like, I have no doubt about that. Lock him up. And everyone else associated with this. I don't know why there are some people that are, like, using that as a smoking gun, like, look at this hypocrisy. You'll call out, Trump for his handling of this, but what about Bill Clinton? Bill Clinton's going to be in those files. You okay with that? Yes, you Sharpie huffing, paint chip eating goobers. Who the fuck is going to be shedding tears over Bill Clinton being thrown in the slammer? I don't know too many Bill Clinton enthusiasts on this planet. Like, maybe I just don't see it. Like, how many Bill Clinton fans are out there with their Bill Clinton cologne and their Bill Clinton phone and their Bill Clinton crypto coin wearing their Bill Clinton shirt? Like, it doesn't exist. Anyone associated with these crimes needs to be held accountable and thrown in jail no matter what party they're affiliated with. I don't know why all of a sudden Bill Clinton's being brought up like it's some kind of monkey wrench in all of this.
She was sentenced to 20 years in prison and was charged, among other things, for perjury, aka lying, although she was never ultimately tried for it because they went after the heavier counts. However, Maxwell is appealing her conviction, and her lawyer has been pushing to get this in front of Donald Trump. This is a quote from her lawyer, quote, "I'd be surprised if President Trump knew his lawyers were asking the Supreme Court to let the government break a deal. He's the ultimate deal maker. I'm sure he'd agree that when the United States gives its word, it should keep it." Of course, referring to the non-prosecution agreement that Epstein had with prosecutors back in 2007. This all came to a head today when Trump was asked if he would consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, and he wouldn't rule it out.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out.
I love the way CoffeeZilla covers things. His coverage of this is extraordinary. All of this is such important information. So Ghislaine Maxwell, she did have perjury charges. Shocker. I hope you're sitting down for this, but it turns out a child sex trafficker is also a liar. It turns out they don't always tell the truth. So she does already have a history of lying. So you're now going to her to get these names while dangling a potential pardon in front of her. Yeah, I'm sure we can really trust everything she says in regards to this now. Wake the fuck up, drooling idiots. Obviously, Ghislaine is not going to say names that could jeopardize her chance at that pardon. So if there are names that, the administration doesn't really want out there, Ghislaine's not going to give it to them. She is going to omit those, so that way she can increase her odds of getting that pardon. She's not going to try and anger them by giving all of these names. And she's already made it clear she has no problem with lying in general. So it's a completely untrustworthy person to go and get this list of people, which the administration had already said didn't exist like 2 weeks ago. It's so fascinating how this whole thing is playing out here. Just release the fucking files. Just release the files. That is the way to prove that you are innocent, that you did no wrongdoing. You know what makes you look like you did tons of wrongdoing? Continuously refusing to release the files, trying to downplay the severity of those files, saying that people are bad people if they care about Epstein and everything that happened there. That's what makes you look a lot worse. If you haven't done anything, the files should have been the first thing that he released, which was one of his promises, that he would release those Epstein files, which he still hasn't delivered on, and doesn't seem to have any desire to. It's just absurd, and people are gobbling this shit up. When he's directly asked, if he would, pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, all he says is, I haven't thought about it, but I am allowed to do it. That seems to leave the door wide open to a pardon to a fucking child sex trafficker. That is insane. That is absolute lunacy. He didn't just say no or anything. He didn't even tiptoe around anything even resembling no. He just completely opened the door I can do it. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
His deputy attorney general is meeting privately with Maxwell. Of course, everybody was okay with the idea of her testifying in public in front of Congress, but that's not exactly what happened. Instead, what Todd Blanche did was privately meet with her in a meeting that nobody was allowed to see. And he said in a statement, "Today I met with Ghislaine Maxwell and I'll continue my interview of her tomorrow. The Department of Justice will share additional information about what we learned at the appropriate time." Of course, that's brought to you by the same people who said they'd release additional credible evidence. So we don't exactly know what that means.
Exactly as CoffeeZilla described, Ghislaine Maxwell testifying publicly in front of Congress is so much different than privately being interviewed by the DOJ here. Like, if this was all public, where she was disclosing these names and having these conversations, it would be so different. But it is behind closed doors, and nobody gets access to any information that they discuss. That's a little fishy. That smells a little stinky.
And when Maxwell returned to prison, she returned with a white box of materials, which a lot of people, myself included, found very strange because she left with nothing. We also have to note that Todd Blanche was Trump's personal lawyer, so some people are calling it a conflict of interest. Even though he is no longer the personal lawyer, he is now the deputy attorney general.
Well, now, isn't that the damnedest thing? What a fascinating coinkydink. Trump's personal lawyer, who is now at the DOJ, is the one spearheading these interviews with Maxwell privately. The only person that could potentially omit Trump's name in relation to Jeffrey Epstein if his name is implicated in there? What are the odds of that, huh? And I imagine that box of materials that she returned with was nothing of concern. I'm sure that was it was a box of Labubu, probably. They gave her a bunch of blind boxes so she'd be able to entertain herself by opening some awesome Labubu or something. I bet there was nothing important in that box that she somehow mysteriously returned with.
Now, Ghislaine's lawyer gave some statements on the matter. He claimed that she answered all questions truthfully during her DOJ interview and now says she is seeking a pardon, though she says she hasn't approached Trump about it directly, but that they hope a pardon is in the works.
We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
I love that statement. She answered all questions truthfully. Yeah, that holds a lot of water. As if the lawyer's going to come out and say, well, actually, she lied about a few things, but overall, she did say, mostly accurate things. Obviously, he's going to say that she answered truthfully. There's no way of knowing if she did or not. It's all fucking private in the first place, but she does have a history of lying. She did have perjury charges that weren't pursued, but they were present. It is crazy to see this unfold, and how he is now saying, we hope that he'll do the right thing and use that power to pardon for justice here, and pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, one of the most fucking infamous child sex trafficking co-conspirators of all time. It seems like people are forgetting she herself participated in the trafficking of these children, calling them her slaves and shit. What the fuck is going on here that this is even something that's a possibility? It is so sick and twisted, and it's unfolding right in front of people's faces.
In fact, there are already rumors coming out from some sources at ABC News that Ghislaine Maxwell may have already been granted a limited form of immunity to testify in the first place, presumably only for the new information that she's talking about. But still, it does seem like a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell is very much on the table, very much possible, and it's sick to imagine that the one person who's ever faced any consequences for the most notorious trafficker of all time might get away with it.
It is completely deplorable. And that is what's been happening for years, with everyone involved in the Epstein crimes getting away with it. Except Ghislaine, she did face some punishment, but it looks like there is a chance that it might be overturned here, possibly. And the fact that it's even a possibility is horrifying. That is terrible. Now, as I said earlier, the names she gives, I would love to know if there will ever even be anything that comes from it. The names that she does provide and whatever evidence she also provides, are they even going to act on it? And I don't know the answer to it, because I think there is a very likely scenario where she only provides names, a curated list of names, where she will give them, and then they might pursue those names, but she leaves out tons of evidence and tons of other names because that would disrupt the possibility of this pardon. I think that is very possible, and hopefully, maybe eventually, we can actually get some justice here. Like, hopefully, there will be a pursuit here of these criminals eventually. Maybe it comes from Ghislaine Maxwell giving those names up. Maybe not. I have no clue. But once again, to tie it all back to the beginning, why not just release the fucking files? Just release the files and also get names from Ghislaine Maxwell. Have her testify publicly the right way. Have her give all of this information and this evidence over so the public can know that there was no fishy business going on behind closed doors. Why wouldn't you want that transparency? That's like been the number one buzzword for this administration is transparency, yet every step of the way with Jeffrey Epstein, it has been nothing but hidden agendas and like under the table dealings and shit. It's absolute insanity. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to give you the update here to this. It's unbelievable. That's really about it. So yeah. I remember growing up thinking that brainwashing and mind control was just something you see in comic books and cartoons. But now I know it's a very real thing that you can see happening daily in this country. Now, the big thing I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about a lot here. There's going to be a bunch of blabber in here and drool coming out of my mouth as I'm spitting because I'm about to be getting pretty passionate. The big focus is on the huge crypto collapse from yesterday. And the very suspicious, very lucky trader who was able to cash out $190 million off of it because they were shorting Bitcoin and Ethereum a day before and all the way up until a minute before Trump's Truth Social post announcing the massive tariffs on China, which crashed the entire market. And then 30 minutes later, they cash out $190 million. It seems like they might have known something, but that can't be, right? That would be corruption. And this administration doesn't engage in that kind of nefarious activity, except for all the previous times that this exact same thing has happened with Trump announcing things on Truth Social that people close to him that suckle his fucking teats must have had insider knowledge on because they're able to cash out millions upon millions of dollars because of his rinse and repeat cycle of threatening tariffs, backing off tariffs, postponing tariffs, just fluctuating the market up and down, yet people in his inner circle must be privy to this knowledge because they are making absolute bullseye trades based on that before it becomes public. So this isn't really anything new, it's just the most egregious instance because you can literally see it. This account opens and starts shorting Bitcoin and Ethereum a day before this announcement and then a minute before the Truth Social post goes live. Like, it's unbelievable. And if you're a MAGA cultist, it actually is unbelievable. They refuse to believe it. They refuse to accept the very real reality that they are getting fucking hosed. Trump and Trump's family's net worth has exploded since becoming president. How do you defend that? Well, I'll tell you how. Because they say Trump is such a benevolent saint, he actually doesn't even keep his salary from being president. Wow, that's how much he cares about the American people. You fucking delusional homunculus. The presidential salary is actual peanuts. It's literal fucking used condoms in the grand scheme of how much money him and his family are making throughout his presidency. When he was being fucking sworn in, he was still launching up to 168 new products. And that doesn't even include things like his cologne that he launched, the fucking Trump Gooch galore smell, the Trump watches, the Trump phone and shit like that. So that has only increased the amount of things that he is hawking to the American people to buy solely to enrich himself and his family, his fucking meme coin and all of that. His family is going ballistic in terms of how much money they are making off of his presidency. They're not even hiding it. They are just constantly making money off of you. As you suffer and get less and less money, they get more and more. They are taking the pizza and not even leaving you bits and pieces, morsels of the crust. It's sad, and yet people love it. They will accept it with a fucking smile on their face and say, please, give me some more. I've got more holes for you to fill. Please, come in here. I'm waiting. It's just absurd. They don't even stick to a single belief anymore. Like the Epstein files, I know I have made a lot of content on in the past, so I'm not going to regurgitate that. But the Epstein files are a really good example of how they really cared about the Epstein files and they were really upset at the failure of Joe Biden to release them in that administration. So they were hyping up Trump about all of his promises to release those Epstein files, which he has still not done and still actively just like discounts, and the entire administration denying the existence of now. And this same group of people that was so excited for Trump to follow through on that promise is now like, oh, he didn't break any promises. In fact, it's just not even important. That's why he's not doing it. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, who cares about the Epstein files? We have so many bigger things to worry about. Like, what the next product we're going to have to buy from Trump is. Like, they're just now saying, it doesn't matter. We don't care. We actually don't want this information. Actually, I believe everything they're saying now. Yeah, it definitely doesn't exist. Yeah, actually, Maxwell's probably innocent, too. But, again, I've already talked about that a lot. Let's talk about some other stuff. The COVID vaccine. Trump just got a COVID booster. Not a conspiracy. Just out in the open, signed, documented, stamped. It is legitimate. Trump just got a COVID booster. And this administration has constantly played into the MAGA fear of the jab. That was one of the big things with MAGA, is like how this is, contaminating us, poisoning us. They're trying to kill us with the jab. And now Trump just got the vaccine booster, and those same people, like Gunther Dickelman, are now applauding him for it, sucking a fucking fart out of his butt for it, giving him a full rim job like, yes, the president's healthy, this is great news. Meanwhile, only a few months ago, a big talking point from him and so many others is the COVID vaccine and the evil of it. But now that Trump got the vaccine booster, well, now they love it. Well, now it's great. Actually, Trump probably got the vaccine booster because he's going to immediately give all of us herd immunity. He is using himself as a selfless sacrifice with the jab, so that way his aura of being immune to COVID will help infiltrate all of us via osmosis. So now we're all immune to COVID thanks to Trump getting the COVID vaccine booster. Or some crazy shit, maybe. That one I'm just spitballing, but I'm trying to find ways they'll mental gymnastics around it. But the sad reality is they're not even going to bother trying. They're just going to be like Gunther here and just be like the good little NPC drone that's like, anything Trump does is great. Can't wait to swallow more Trump meat. Even though it goes completely against all of the things he was talking about. Like, so many people that were talking about the jab and how evil it is and all of that are now celebrating that Trump got it. It's just so obvious. It's so blatant. Like fucking cat turd. I don't think I've seen anything from him on Trump getting the jab here. Just radio silence, just crickets. It's just ignore things that make you have to think. That is the cult mentality of MAGA. Anything Trump does is perfect. Anything that makes me think that maybe there's something else there, I shut out. I plug my ears to. It is fucking horrifying. Trump is now building a Qatari Air Force base in Idaho. Trump has accepted a huge $400 million Wumbo Turbo Superstar jet from Qatar. It's a crazy gift. That's one hell of a donation there. I don't want to toss the B word around too lightly here, the bribe nomenclature, but I mean, definitely smells a little fishy over here with that, especially in regards to what came soon after. He then signed a $5.5 billion deal with Qatar for a Trump golf course. Yippee, that's great for the American people. More Trump wealth that he accumulates here through this deal. And now he is putting a Qatar Air Force base on our homeland soil. America first, right? Yeah, it's really America first thinking right there. Yeah, and then I've already seen the cope about how, actually, no, this is a joint training procedure. This is something that we do all the time, actually. And I saw JD, My Chemical Romance Vance, talking today about like how it's actually just all fake news and stuff. Even though they have literally verbatim point blank said exactly what this deal is, and he is just denying that. So not even the administration is in agreement on their talking points right now. It's a fucking mess. And still, people are so brainwashed and mind controlled that they'll just accept it and be like, this is great. This is America first, actually, to put this Qatar Air Force base in Idaho. That's actually exactly what I wanted. And then Trump always finds a way to surprise me with some crazy schizo posting late at night. So his most recent one is the Biden FBI placed 274 agents into the crowd on January 6th. If this is so, which it is, a lot of very good people will be owed big apologies. What a scam! Do something! President DJT. There is so much wrong with that. I think he forgot to take his suppositories because holy shit, Trump was president on January 6th. Biden did not control the FBI. But you know what? Let's play ball here and dive into a fucking fever dream, a fantasy. Let's say Joseph Biden set down his ice cream, cracked his knuckles, and assumed direct control of the FBI on January 6th and placed all of these agents in here just as Trump says. Well, why don't you do something about it? You are the president. Who are you asking to do something? God? Batman? Like, who are you trying to call? Who are you trying to summon to do something? You are the president. So if this is real, why aren't you doing anything? This is a classic President DJT maneuver here, the entire administration really, where they're like, all of these crimes from the Democrats, all of these absolutely abhorrent, vile crimes that the Democrats have done. No more playing nice, no more Mr. Nice Guy. We're showing our teeth, we're baring our fangs, and we're gonna get something done about it. And then nothing. It's all just posturing. It's all performative. It is a game, and they are playing you. They are preying upon your gullibility and your inclination to be afraid, to constantly keep you in fear, because when you are afraid and when you are convinced that the other side is doing all of these things to get you, you are so fucking easy to control. You're so malleable. That's why they're playing that shit in the airports now about how, like, the Democrats are Satan and all of that. If you have all of this overwhelming evidence that you claim to have about all of these crimes and all of this shit that the Democrats have done, why have you done nothing? You would be just as guilty in that case. What is the quote? The only thing it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing? Well, if you know that all of this evil is happening from the Democrats and you're doing nothing, you're just as guilty. Like, this is so clearly obvious to anyone that's thinking for more than 5 fucking seconds. And you don't even need to be thinking for 5 seconds to see this new Truth Social stinker here that he squeaked out as anything other than just a sham. Like, this should just be alarming into the mental decline of Trump. He was president on January 6th. He controlled the FBI. Not Biden. Biden was probably out riding his bike to a fucking twisty treat. I don't think he was down there as the puppet master pulling the strings, putting FBI agents in January 6th. It is so crazy, and yet people will just swallow it. They will swallow any shit that Trump feeds them happily, even when they know it's something bad. Like Ted Cruz saying that he got into Congress 13 years ago solely to represent the interests of Israel. He is an American politician who openly states that he is here for Israel. That, again, like I said, feels treasonous to me. And I imagine most people in a different time period would feel the same, but because of how tribalistic politics has become, if you're a big MAGA enthusiast, Trump supporter, you have to somehow just hand wave that and support it because that's what you're told you need to do. Even though anyone should be able to hear that and be concerned. Why does Israel have such a huge stranglehold on the American political landscape and such a massive say-so in how American companies do their business? And why do they even have, like, the ability to start making demands about what needs to be censored in regards to their atrocities on American platforms? It would be alarming to everyone if the political sphere wasn't just, I have to support everything from this side no matter what. It is fucking scary. Now, I do want to make a mention of something. It's not all horrible, awful news. There's actually a ceasefire going on right now, and I can only pray that it sticks. With Netanyahu, you never really fucking know. But I can only keep my fingers crossed and pray for the absolute best for the Palestinians and hope that going forward, the people of Gaza will no longer need to fear being massacred by Netanyahu's IDF. Now, I know I said at the beginning of the video, the focus of this was going to be on the crypto collapse and the super lucky guy that happened to make $190 million going against all rational thinking and against all the odds. Truly a miracle. But I couldn't help myself. This is just so preposterous. But now, let's finally dive into the crypto collapse. CoffeeZilla made a video going over this. It's extremely well put together, so I'm going to be showing you some clips of that as we talk about it.
I don't even know what this is. I think this is all legal, kind of. I don't think it should be, as you'll see.
Thing is, even if it wasn't legal, it wouldn't matter. There will be no justice pursued regardless, because I think it's pretty clear that whoever this is, they are part of Trump's inner circle of cronies, and they had this knowledge beforehand, what was coming, and it doesn't take a genius to recognize that imposing these huge tariffs on China was going to have a huge effect on the market. So it was a pretty easy opportunity for them to short with that knowledge in mind and make an unbelievable amount of money. Again, if it is legal, it shouldn't be, like CoffeeZilla says, but even if it isn't legal, it won't matter, because they're not going to do anything about it.
But the question is, what did this guy know? Okay, how did somebody make $190 million while everyone else was losing their shirts yesterday? If you don't know, there was one of the biggest crashes we've ever seen in crypto. And someone came in 24 hours before and started placing shorts against the market. Short is just when you bet that the underlying asset is going to go down in price and you will make money on that. Now, this all started October 9th. At 1639 GMT time, they start accumulating this Bitcoin short.
So T-minus 24 hours until the rest of the world knows this information about the impending tariffs. They come in with $80 million that they start shorting Bitcoin with. That is not like a gamble or anything. That feels like they knew for sure something was going to happen. That is a crazy amount to come out of nowhere with to short Bitcoin.
Now, the amount is unusual, but that itself is not the unusual part. Then we have Ethereum starts to get shorted at 349 GMT. Interesting. $30 million gets deposited into this account. Immediately start placing major bets that the market is going to go down. Why is this significant? Well, because at 1457, this is only a few hours later, like 12 hours later, Trump posts on Truth Social that they are calculating a massive increase on Chinese tariffs.
Zoinks. That's really lucky. This account comes out of nowhere, swinging huge numbers, slinging big time fucking doubloons here on these shorts. And then shortly after, well, it looks like something might be happening to the market here with these potential tariffs that they're calculating.
Where I think this goes from suspicious to downright diabolical is the fact that at this point, the market dips a little bit because you have these threats of tariffs. But the person does not start closing out their shorts yet.
No, that's not weird. This trader's just got diamond hands. What? He's not going to close out his position based off of just that one tweet there. No, that wouldn't make any sense. He's just got strong paws to really grip onto his positions here.
Which I think is very interesting. If you place this huge short bet and then the president tweets something like this, you would think you would close out your order. But not only do they not do that, not only do they not close out their short, they continue to place short bets against Bitcoin. In fact, this person continues to short Bitcoin all the way up till 2049 23 GMT. Why is that significant, ladies and gentlemen? It's because 2049 is the last short he places, okay? 2050 GMT. A minute later, 1 minute later, Trump announces they're considering an 100% tariff on China, which of course tanks the market. And this person makes literally $190 million in 24 hours.
Then over the course of the next half hour, they close out all of their shorts and they cash out big time jackpot. Wow, did they get lucky or what, huh? Man, I cannot believe the coinky-dink there. Shorting all the way up until 1 minute before Trump's tweet. Geez, some guys have all the luck. You would actually need to be the biggest fucking stupidest troglodyte on the planet to think that this was just like a lucky, miracle trade here from this individual. This is clearly someone that had information about what was coming. The speculation is that it's Barron Trump. There's a lot of people that are providing their loose evidence that it's Barron. Nothing's confirmed on who this is, and I don't think there will ever be confirmation on who this was. But it doesn't take a galaxy brain 5-digit IQ genius to see this and recognize that the only way that something like this happens is if that person had prior knowledge of what was coming. There is no other explanation for it. So while everyone else lost tons of money, some people lost everything. This crash was so colossal that some people took their own lives because of it. The only way that someone went totally against the grain all the way up until 1 minute before the fucking, bomb dropped from Trump here is if they knew it was coming. Like, it's just, I think it is so clear. And the only way you could possibly think anything else is if you're already brainwashed and mind-controlled and stuck in a cult mentality. I really don't know what it will take to snap people out of this. The people that are just so far gone and willing to deny all the evidence of their eyes and ears, that they're constantly being told that they need to. Following these orders of just deny everything that you see and hear from this administration and everything going on. I don't know how you bring them back into, like, being able to think. Like, actually be able to think. It's fucking terrifying. It's actually extremely scary. So yeah, I wanted to yap about this morning. That's really about it. So yeah. I just saw a very wild clip. Politicians are no strangers to weird takes. But what Ted Cruz just said is so shocking. I actually can't believe this is real. I double-checked if this was like AI or like a bad lip-reading video or something dubbed over. It's not. He said it with his whole chest.
Senator Booker also said we should have bipartisan agreement. I think that's a great idea. We should have bipartisan agreement. How about we all come together and say, let's stop murders? How about we all come together and say, let's stop rape? How about we all come together and say, let's stop attacking pedophiles? I want you to look at what happened when the National Guard went to D.C.
What in tarnation? Pardon me? Can we roll that back, put it on the Jumbotron, please? There's no way he just said that out loud, right? What a crazy Freudian slip. Or maybe not even a Freudian slip. It looks like he is reading off a piece of paper for his monologue here. He might have wrote that down as like a really strong stamp that he needs to get across here about people need to come together to stop attacking pedophiles. What? Teddy, sweaty and ready out here trying to defend pedophiles or some shit? Man, those Epstein files are never coming out, huh? Heavens to Betsy. Now, you have to imagine that's not what he meant to say, so you would think that he'd pretty quickly scramble to set the record straight so there's no confusion on where he stands. I don't think he wants to be known as Ted Stop Attacking Pedophiles Cruz. But he never goes back to, like, explain what he tried to express. Also, nobody in the room challenges him on it, like, hey, Ted, quick question before moving on. Did you mean what you said at the end there? Like you said, you know, stop murder? Okay, good, yeah, all right. And then stop rape? All right, good, yeah, no, rape's bad. Let's stop that. And then you said stop attacking pedophiles, and I couldn't help but be confused because, well, attacking pedophiles is good. Like, that needs to happen more often. In fact, I'd argue we don't attack pedophiles enough. So what did you mean there at the end, Ted? But there is not a soul in this building that says anything about it, not even a peep. So they just move on.
Robbery fell by 57%. Homicide fell by 58%. Sex abuse fell by 40%. Those are real results. And Detective Pemberton?
Goober just carries on business as usual, as if nothing is abnormal about what he's just stated. No one in the room says anything about it, not even a whisper. That's crazy to me. Now, I attempted to do the impossible of putting together the jigsaw puzzle that is Ted Cruz's enigmatic mind, but that's like dividing by zero. I can't quite figure it out. I tried to understand like what he wanted to say but fumbled based on the slide that he pulls up, which is stats. Robbery, homicide, sex abuse. Homicide ties into the first thing he said about stopping murder, but then the second thing he says about stopping rape, well, that ties into sex abuse. The third thing, robbery, is not anything he ever said about stopping. So where the fuck does the word pedophile even come from? And how does the word attacking pedophiles even squeak out from between his foul butt cheeks? I've seen, like, long versions of this, not the whole thing. Maybe at some point it comes up as like a, you know, previously on Dragon Ball Z I said this, but meant that. Maybe, but I haven't seen that. I checked both of his Twitter accounts, because apparently he's got two, and he posts, like, 8 times a day, and he hasn't uttered a peep about him saying to stop attacking pedophiles, that we should come together to stop attacking pedophiles. So maybe there's a chance that's what he actually believes. It's not that far-fetched. Just look at how the current administration handles everything in regards to Epstein, jumping around from lie to lie to lie about, oh, the Epstein files, they aren't real. The Epstein files, no, they were on my desk, but they're also not real. Also, there's no the new thing. There's no credible information that Epstein trafficked minors to others. There were no clients. There's no list. Also, Maxwell gets moved from a prison to a fucking summer camp, basically. So maybe Maybe Ted Cruz is just going full mask off, saying like, all right, enough is enough. Can we stop attacking pedophiles? The Epstein files are never coming out. Like, maybe that's what was on his mind. All in all, it's a pretty interesting strategy here from old Ted Cruz. The think about the pedophiles approach. Why won't anyone think of the pedophiles' feelings? No one's considering that. Stop being mean to pedophiles. Can we all come together and agree on that? Holy shit. It's unbelievable, man. Anyway, I just had to show you this. That's really about it. So yeah, 2 days ago it was tomorrow. Yesterday it was today. Now look at us. In the present. Today. And still no Epstein files. They treat these like Bubble Bass treats pickles on a Krabby Patty. Still no pickles, but it turns out he's just hiding them. They have the files, it seems. And instead of releasing it to the American public, they'd rather just give these binders that say Epstein Files Phase 1 to some influencers, so that way they can pose with it like a prized fish, where they're smiling and laughing about it like they're about to go to homecoming, instead of just releasing that information. It's so fucking weird. They're treating these extremely serious files with child sex traffickers in them as if they had just got like a baseball from their favorite MLB player who threw it into the crowd for them. It's just not being taken seriously. Not only by the people that have the binder, it seems, but by the actual GOP. I was going to mention this yesterday, but I decided to, sit on my swamp ass and just stew. We'll wait to see what they say about it tomorrow, because I thought there was a chance maybe the House Judiciary Twitter account got hacked with this post. Like, surely they'd release a statement today, but no. They're just going to plug their ears and pretend it didn't happen. But I'm sure a lot of you saw yesterday the actual official House Judiciary Twitter account rickrolled the Epstein files. I shit you not. They posted this tweet, and when you click that link, it takes you to a rickroll. The tweet eventually got deleted, but it was up for hours. It wasn't like a brief thing that some random person scooted into the office and did as a joke. This was something that they posted and kept up for a while. This shit is so outrageous, it has my voice cracking. My vocal folds are left in disbelief like they just watched a David Blaine stunt. Except this isn't like a magic trick or an illusion, this is all very real. They are treating the Epstein files like some kind of joke. This is one of the most infamous child sex traffickers in American history. And they are treating it as if it's not serious. Pfft. What? And now they're just not going to ever address that this happened. They're just going to ignore it. That's craziness. Now, like I said at the beginning, I didn't expect the Epstein files to be released today because it's been very clear that that's just not coming. And I think we're at the point where even if they do ever release the Epstein files, there is no faith left, no trust that they won't be tampered with. Like, heavily redacted. They did release some things yesterday, but it was all old information. It wasn't anything new. There was like a couple of like tiny new tidbits, but not really. And at the end of the day, like I said, there's going to be so little trust that this hasn't been heavily fucking flubered with. Made that word up, but it sounds like it could apply. Like, it's a Schmeckeldorfing, it feels like, where the information, it might not even be accurate anymore. Because this has been such an absolute clown show. You can't even trust it. I also just don't even think it's ever going to be released. Period. Like, this has been something that they just keep teasing over and over again, like Beyond Good and Evil 2, and it just, nothing ever comes. It all just fizzles out. And then everyone just forgets about it in like 2 days' time. And I'm so tired of that. They had said the information would be released yesterday, and it was going to be huge. Like, they hyped the shit out of it. This is going to be the Super Bowl of Jeffrey Epstein files. We finally have the whole kit and caboodle. This is everything, and there's going to be repercussions. People are going to be thrown in jail. People are going to be arrested. Well, that didn't happen yesterday, so they said it's going to be today. It'll be February 28th at 8 a.m. sharp. It's just the fucking pesky FBI director did a little, shady business over here, and, well, we're getting our handle on it, but it's coming 8 a.m. February 28th. Well, still not here. I didn't expect it to actually be released today, but, much like a growth spurt in my 30s, it would have been a nice surprise to finally have them actually release these things. And I feel like in a week, it won't be here. A month, it still won't be released. And eventually people will just forget that it was ever even mentioned, or they might make like an offhanded comment about it like, oh no, we released those. What are you talking about? We stayed true to what we said. We released it. And it's just the information that's already been known for fucking years, with like nothing new added to it. Not what was promised, not what they said was actually coming, with all the arrests, all the jail time, and all these new names and all this new information about these evil fucking people that participated in this child sex trafficking. That has still not been released. And there's still not been consequences. So, when is that ever going to be released? Is it ever? And if it's not, why do you keep pretending that it is? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's infuriating. It just feels like all of it is just not being treated seriously at all. The fucking judiciary just making an actual joke out of it, just mocking the Epstein files, really just taking the whole thing of child sex trafficking and boiling it down to a fucking rickroll. That is beyond deplorable. And then just saying like, oh, the files are coming. Nah, they didn't. So what? Like, it's just, there are legitimately, like, nothing is taken seriously anymore by anybody or anything, it feels. I fucking hate it. It's got me spitting. I am covering these monitors in saliva. I am just flabbergasted. I feel like I'm in rock bottom right now, like with the amount of spit that I'm doing here. But I can't help it. It is unbelievable. Let's just set aside this instance of the House Judiciary rickroll. Why in tarnation on God's green earth would you want your House Judiciary to be cringe meme lord Reddit tier losers making rickrolls in the year 2025 of our Lord on anything, let alone something as serious as the Epstein files? How is that not embarrassing? How is that not shameful? I'll stop yapping and ranting about it, but it is just mind-boggling that they can do that and then nothing happens. They just get to pretend it never happened. They just don't even have the wherewithal to even mention it again or try and explain what led them to thinking that was a good idea, or explaining why the Epstein files that they've promised are still not being released. It's so fucking dumb. It's really about it. See ya. Yep, much to the chagrin of a lot of people in power, the conversation around Jeffrey Epstein doesn't seem to be fizzling out anytime soon, which is great. Hopefully, it will keep this steam and will never peter out, because it is of the utmost importance that this gets corrected, that they stop trying to perpetuate these lies that they're attempting to shove down the American public's throat about Jeffrey Epstein not having a list, not indulging in blackmail, and then trying to drop what has now been revealed as modified footage of Jeffrey Epstein's cell area to prove that he took his own life and no one came in there. There was no fishy business. The Baba Yaga didn't pay him a visit or anything. And they try and proclaim that that footage was like the raw, real deal, organic sourced footage here. But what we're talking about today, it turns out that was once again another fucking lie. CoffeeZilla just made a video talking about it as well, so I'm going to play a few clips from that because he is significantly more intelligent than I am. And buckle your seatbelt because it is a wild ride.
The raw Epstein footage was modified according to its metadata, despite Dan Bongino previously saying that they would release the original footage so you wouldn't think there were shenanigans.
There's video. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans.
Well, unfortunately, that's not what we got.
To briefly explain for those that don't know, when the DOJ and FBI came out and said that Epstein did not have a list, did not indulge in blackmail, and did in fact commit suicide, they then dropped some footage that was supposed to corroborate that there really was no one else that entered his area and killed him or anything. So they dropped a lot of footage. And it was supposed to be the raw feed of it. Turns out that doesn't seem to be the case. It was very likely modified, and you're about to see the metadata that indicates that it most likely was, as well as a forensic expert that weighs in that also thinks that it was not done properly here.
And basically they pulled the metadata and showed that the footage appears to be assembled from at least 2 source clips, saved multiple times, exported, and then uploaded to the DOJ's website, where it was presented as raw footage, which technically it is not. Now, I pulled the EXIF data myself. This is what it looks like. You can see that there's these ingredients file path here, where you can see 4 different files. 2 of them are just identical. So 2 unique files here that have been basically stitched together is the most charitable interpretation.
So they went into Adobe Premiere and edited the footage, saving it multiple times. I cannot believe that they would even leave the metadata intact. You would think that these 3-letter organizations would be better at hiding their dirty work. Now, maybe if they were using the superior editing program, Sony Vegas, they would have been able to, get away with it more effectively, because Sony Vegas probably doesn't even have metadata. It's so fucking archaic. But they went into Adobe Premiere, spliced this together, and then sent it as raw when it is not raw. It is edited. That is, like, legitimately, by all possible definitions, a lie. Even though Bongino said, no, you're going to get the raw, so you know there's no shenanigans. But all we get is shenanigans.
Yes, maybe you didn't do anything with it, but it kind of ruins the whole chain of evidence. Wired actually quotes a professor of UC Berkeley whose research focuses on digital forensics. He has testified in numerous court cases, and he says, if a lawyer brought me this file and asked if it was suitable for court, I'd say no. Go back to the source. Do it right. Do a direct export from the original system. No monkey business.
It's actually scary just how blatant this corruption is. For years, they have talked about the Epstein list and the blackmail. It is something that everybody knows exists. Like, there is endless amounts of evidence to suggest its legitimacy. Yet now, all of a sudden, they're like, nah, it's not real. No, that's just fictitious. That's like fucking Santa Claus's list right there. That's not real. No naughty and nice list. No Jeffrey Epstein list. There's no such thing. Jeffrey Epstein's not even a real person. That's just a made-up fairy tale. Like, they haven't gone that far with that claim, but like I said last time, I feel like we're not far off from them just trying to deny Jeffrey Epstein ever even existed, trying to scrub him from the history books here. But, like, they are actively just not even trying to make this believable. They are so confident that they will not be held accountable that they don't even bother to do even the slightest amount of elbow grease to convince anyone to believe them. And they're right, like, nothing's happening to them. They are covering up for one of the biggest pedophiles in history that implicates some of the most powerful people across the globe. And they are sweeping it under the rug. There have been no arrests made, and it doesn't seem like they're pursuing it at all. Caroline even just recently said that they're not, like, releasing anything in regards to it because of, like, how graphic and gross all of it is.
What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Oh, they provided the results of that? How many people went to jail, Caroline? I must have missed that update. Were there a lot of bad guys that got locked up here? Oh man, that's huge. I feel like more people should know that. Can you share who all got arrested from all of the Epstein investigations? This vile worm tries to say that nothing's going to get released, and I guess nothing's going to happen to anyone that was incriminated here because a lot of it was not fit for public consumption. Fucking weirdo, no one's asking you to, like, share the videos or anything like that. But you are saying that you have this evidence and you're doing nothing with it. And we know there is a list of clients and a lot of people that engaged with it. Fucking arrest them! What the public deserves is that you will follow through with your duty of arresting these evil people that you have unbelievable amounts of evidence on. Which is not happening. This is the furthest thing from transparency, unless she's trying to argue that this cover-up is so blatant, obvious, and terrible that everyone can see through it, so you can immediately know how guilty some of the most powerful people are. Then I guess that makes sense, because this is such a poorly done attempt at burying this that everyone can see through it. Is that the point she was trying to make? Perhaps, I guess. Every step of the way here, they are lying and trying to cover up everything related to Jeffrey Epstein, including this footage that was supposed to be raw footage.
The video aspect ratio suddenly shifts as the tape changes over or whatever they claim. You can see that right here. There's like a sudden shift in the video. I have not changed this video in any way. I have it in the Premiere Pro timeline, which I guess they had as well. So this is as intended. So there's this just weird shifts in the footage. I mean, this was done in actually a very sloppy way after they explicitly talked about needing to do it in the right way so the American public could rely on it.
Now, as CoffeeZilla says, it could be all just incompetence, like actually just fucking troglodytes here in charge of all of this. So even though they called attention to needing to do it the right way, they're just so fucking brain dead, like actual lobotomites, and just couldn't even do it the right way, so then they just farted this out. Like, it could be, like, no manipulation here. Like, this is just how it's done. Like, for some reason, it dumps a minute, like, as it's switching over, and they had to put it into editing software and fuck up the aspect ratio. I guess it could be incompetence, but I would not be that charitable with this. They are doing so much lying. Again, we already know about the list existing, and we know about the blackmail. That is all real stuff, and now they're denying it. And now they're doing this modifying of footage while trying to fight back against the conspiracy that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. It's just insanity. They are so confident that the public will do nothing about it. They'll get upset, but they'll just swallow it and be done with it and move on. And some people are, but I'm happy that most aren't. They are desperately doing everything in their power to try and bury this whole conversation about Jeffrey Epstein. Like a couple days ago where Trump interrupted a question about it in order to try and shift to something else. Like, are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein, that creep? How can you be talking about him when there's floods going on in Texas? It's such a bad look.
Why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the native set?
Yeah, sure. If
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas.
Yeah, people are still talking about Epstein. It's one of the biggest, most in-your-face cover-ups most people have ever seen. This is one of the biggest pedophiles in history that implicates so many extremely powerful people. Yeah, people are still talking about it, understandably, because the people deserve answers, and there needs to be justice for all of the people that engaged in this. This desperation from those in power to move on from the Jeffrey Epstein conversation is extremely scary, and they are doing it with reckless abandon, feeling completely immune to consequences for all of this. And so far, they're right. Like, there's not anything that's coming from it. There's still no arrest being made. There's still no new information coming out. The only information we get is more information about how they are lying, like modifying the footage and shit. It's craziness. I just wanted to give you a little update here with everything that's unfolding in the Jeffrey Epstein case. And yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. 5'6" funky Florida man coming at you again with a new infuriating update in the disastrous handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case here. No good news on this front, sports fans. All of us continue to wiggle our cheeks into the front row seats to blatant, evil, degenerate corruption with the most obvious cover-up of all time and unfolding right in front of our fucking faces. Today, I'm sure a lot of you saw, there was an amendment put forth that would try and force the DOJ to release the information they have on Epstein. I'm going to go ahead and immediately tackle the titties on this one up front because some new talking points have hit the influencers' desks. A bunch of these shill android homunculi are going around with the pocket watch out, trying to hypnotize the public into believing that this amendment was trying to push for something that it wasn't. They are claiming that this amendment was trying to have the DOJ release unredacted information and evidence in the Epstein case, meaning all the victims' names and videos and shit, and basically saying that it was trying to get them to release child porn here, which is so fucking outlandish, it is lunacy. That is a load of articles, and yet there are a lot of people that now believe it because they didn't bother to look at it themselves at all. From all available information, as well as from the individual behind the amendment himself, this was basically just trying to get the DOJ to release the Epstein evidence and client list, which, as you might recall, is exactly what Trump promised to do. Not only Trump, but a lot of people in the administration as well, and a lot of people that ran with that as a crucial point, all of them assuring the public that if they get elected, this would be something that they would release, for sure, because it's extremely important. Now, they haven't, and they are actively denying its existence and burying it. And now the new talking point is Trump claiming that, well, the files do exist, contrary to what the DOJ and FBI said about, like, there being no client list and no blackmail. Trump is saying, no, the files exist, but you can't trust them, they're fraudulent because they were written by Obama and crooked Hillary. But in essence, you can kind of boil this amendment down to basically just wanting Trump and the administration to follow through on that promise of releasing what they said they would release. This is the flight logs, this is the client list, that kind of shit. It is not trying to force the DOJ to release unredacted videos and information of the victims. That is obviously not something that anyone is asking be shared with the public. It is disgusting, and it is a crazy deflection that they're trying to pull here. So, anyway, this amendment was put in there, and it was voted on by, first, the House Rules Committee, where it caught the hands in the Thunderdome and got blocked. They took it over their knee and spanked its keister. Also, I am unfamiliar with Virginia Fox here, but she is looking like an ancient artifact here. That is a fossil. Pardon me while I go on a bit of a tangent here. It's a little unrelated to everything, but I'm just so tired of how everyone in power seems to be extraordinarily old. She looks straight out of a sarcophagus. Why is everyone in power here so old? Like, Jesus Christ, she looks like every time she farts, dust comes out. And it's not like exclusive to just like some political people here and there. It's like a ton of them. Fucking Joe Biden was hardly ever lucid. You'd have to wave like an ice cream cone around his nose just to get him alert for conferences. Like, it is crazy how common it is that the people that lead us are so fucking old. Like, Trump is extremely old too. So many of them are, and I am really tired of that being commonplace. Anyway, though, I'll stop ranting about that. The amendment got blocked here. But that didn't mean that it was completely dead in the water. It then went to another vote, which was the whole House voting on it. But spoiler alert, you can probably piece together the breadcrumbs here. Didn't go so well there either.
On this vote, the yeas are 211, the nays are 210. The previous question is ordered. The question is on adoption of the resolution. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
R.I.P. to that. That got fucking two-pieced here today. It lost 211 to 210. Now, as I understand it, this would have been leading to a debate, at least, on the topic of the Epstein files. And it still got blocked. Even just the notion of talking deeper about the Epstein files. Now, I was reading a bit from people that have been very vocal about how important this is to them, yet they came in here and still voted to block it. And from what I've read, they're saying that it was confusing in that this amendment was attached to a larger discussion and vote around cryptocurrency and legislation in regards to cryptocurrency, so some voted no because of that. I also read some of them saying that this wasn't actually a vote about the Epstein thing because it was attached to the Genius Act, which was the cryptocurrency thing. What they were voting no to was the Democrats having the House floor or something to that effect. Ultimately, though, the outcome is the same. There is now not going to be a debate or deeper discussion on the Epstein files and client list as a result of this amendment or anything. It has been blocked in that regard. So whatever the reason for the no was, the outcome is that is not going to happen, at least not from this amendment, at least not right now. Regardless, the outcome remains the same. The Epstein files remain in this limbo where for many years they had existed and were very important, and any day now it's coming, and then a week ago DOJ, FBI says it's not real, there's no list, there's no blackmail, Epstein killed himself, and now, a few days after that, the files are real, they do exist, but Obama and crooked Hillary wrote them. So it is just a huge fucking song and dance, and ultimately still getting nowhere here. Our government continues to unapologetically protect pedophiles that were incriminated in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Still, no arrests have been made, and they continue to lie about even the existence of some of this evidence. And they're hoping that eventually you'll just move on from it. If they can continue to downplay it and try and hypnotize you into thinking it's no big deal, maybe eventually you'll swallow the shit they feed you with a big smile on your face and be the compliant, good little drone that they want you to become. And for some people, it is working. Unfortunately, every single day there's more and more people just wanting to bury this and move on from it. But I also think there's a large number of people that can see right through this garbage and see just how corrupt this is.
Just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release, yeah.
They think you're a fucking bumbling moron. They think you are stupid. It is unbelievable how little they think of your intelligence to be trying to pull shit like this. Trump continues to try and assure everyone that, well, I guess the files are definitely real now because Trump keeps talking about them, but don't trust them. They are altered, they're fraudulent because they were written by Obama and, the whole crew there, the Democrats. It was all part of this big hoax. Which I'm begging, if you please just think for a couple of seconds, if that was the case, if these files were all bogus baloney, why wouldn't they have used it as a weapon against Trump and conservatives in general? Why would they engineer this big fraudulent list and then not use it? And also themselves bury it. And pardon me for being a little bold here, but I'd like to plant a little seed in people's noodles. The Democrats have had ample opportunity to also make the Epstein investigation, the files and client list, a priority to release to the public and actually try and hold these criminals accountable. They had years to do this. Why didn't they pursue it when Biden was in office? The only explanation would be that there are powerful people in that party that are also guilty and incriminated in those files. So this has been something that's been a real hot potato that neither political party has really wanted to grip onto. Neither one of them have wanted to actually, dive deeper into the Epstein case. At least not until recently, where it seems like there are some people that are making a push to make it more of a priority. And if something can finally come from that, some justice where these criminals get locked up, that would be fantastic. But as of right now, that's still not happening. It is still in this fucking purgatory, and it is disgusting. This shit is absolutely tragic. And yeah, just another bad update, unfortunately, on this whole Jeffrey Epstein case. That's really about it. So yeah. I'm running out of words to express my disbelief in how the Jeffrey Epstein case is being handled by the government. I'm having to make up words to try and encapsulate my feelings. We're all being mahoujanized here by these elites in power that are so desperate to bury the Epstein conversation. To briefly bring you up to speed, if you're a little lost, previously on Dragon Ball Z, the FBI and DOJ had concluded their investigation and determined that there was no Epstein client list, there was no blackmail, and Epstein did indeed take his own life. This runs counter to everything the government has said for years in the previous administration and in the current administration. Even infamously Pam Bondi saying she's got the files, everything's on her desk, and set so many deadlines for its release. And one of the big talking points for a lot of people running for positions of power was how they were going to be the ones to declassify the Epstein files and release the Epstein files. But then the DOJ and FBI pulled a reflafitation job here and just retconned all the lore, sent out some new talking points to the puppets, that there is no client list, there is no blackmail, and he killed himself. So that's what all these ghoulish vermin, these zombies in suits, have been spouting. Until last night, where Trump made a post that said there are files, but they're made by Obama, Crooked Hillary, the Democrats, and everyone. Which goes against what the DOJ and FBI was just trying to say about the outright existence of those kind of things not being in the fucking corporeal realm. But now Trump is saying, no, they're there, but they're really fraudulent because Obama and Hillary and everyone, they made them. It was so absurd, in fact, that he got ratioed on his own platform by his most loyal of enthusiasts. It is such a bad job at covering this up, everyone is seeing through it. And I want to go over it here, because this is a full-blown reflafitation that we're witnessing. That's not even a word, and yet that word still elicits some kind of emotion. It still feels like it fucking means something. I don't have words to express how bad all of this has become. It's unreal. What's going on with my boys, and in some cases, gals, an excellent intro right there. That would be an A+ on the summer book report. My God, what a way of starting a post. They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? He literally right there says that there's files, which is the exact opposite of what the DOJ and FBI have been saying, that there are no files, there are no client lists, there is nothing there. But now he's saying it is there, but you can't trust it because Obama and Hillary and all these other people worked on it. Like, what the fuck? He continues, why didn't the radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? Fucking exactly! If this was written by Obama and crooked Hillary, why wouldn't they have used this against you when they had power? Fucking Biden was president for 4 years. If they had already orchestrated this fraudulent Epstein list, don't you think they would have dropped it as a weapon against you? You are contradicting your own statement here. The reason these files haven't been released is because it implicates so many people from all sides of the political spectrum, so both sides are fucking fearful of these ever seeing the light of day. If this really was written by Obama and the crew here, surely that would have dropped at some point. No doubt. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the end here because the little nugget at the end is unreal. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. One of the biggest pedophiles in history, with clientele that includes some of the most powerful people in the world. And now all of a sudden nobody cares about Jeffrey Epstein? What? What are you trying to even say? You yourself even made the promise that you would declassify the Epstein files if you were elected. If you were elected, you were going to make a big song and dance about this transparency and the Epstein files coming out. So many people around you also made the same claims, and now all of a sudden, nobody cares about Jeffrey Epstein? Nobody? Nobody out there at all? Huh, that's so odd. That's so weird how that just fucking flip-flopped. That's really weird. This desperation from the people in power to bury this conversation should be extraordinarily alarming to anyone that is using any amount of neurons in their noodle. Like, just think for a moment. Why are they trying to pretend that this is nothing? They're trying to, like, hypnotize or brainwash people into just writing this off as no big deal. They were talking about children being raped by so many people in power. In what universe is that not a huge issue that everyone should care about? You are paying taxes to and are being controlled by people that were raping children. And they are not facing justice, even though justice is what was promised by this administration and had been repeated so many times to the American public of how they were going to be pursuing justice come hell or high water. Everyone that Epstein ever associated with, everyone incriminated in these files is going to face the piper. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, criminals. And now they're just saying, no, it's not real, it doesn't exist, there's no evidence of that, we're not doing anything. And not only are they not doing anything, they're actively lying to the public about all of it and now trying to convince the public that it's stupid to make a big deal out of it, and that you're wrong for making a big deal out of it. Again, keep in mind, a lot of people that are currently in power use the Jeffrey Epstein talking point as a huge piece, because the previous administration completely fucking failed in delivering anything of substance in regards to that investigation. So, this next cycle, a ton of people were using it as a way of trying to win over a lot of people about how transparent they're going to be and how justice is going to be a priority. And now that they're in a position to actually deliver on that justice, they're just burying it, outright just denying its existence, and making sure all of those that were implicated get away with it. I don't know how any sane human being with a functioning frontal lobe could look at this as anything other than a complete betrayal and a lie in using their power to protect these elite pedophiles on the Jeffrey Epstein list. It should be something everyone cares about, but they're trying to tell you to reject what you know to be true and just mindlessly follow their every single word. Words that change every single day. There's no one story. They are constantly flip-flopping. They're not even in agreement with their own stories at all, but you just need to swallow all the shit they feed you. They were already telling you how important Jeffrey Epstein and everything in regards to that case was. Now they're telling you it's not important and it's not real, so get over it. You need to not let that actually take hold in your psyche. This is the most blatant, bad cover-up ever. This is the worst cover-up job in history, yet somehow it is actually still working for some people. There are people that are now just writing it off as no big deal. Guys, can we get on to the next thing now? This is stupid. We're so hung up on this Epstein thing. I've never even heard of Epstein. Epstein? I don't even know how to say his name. I have no idea what any of this is about. All I know is there's no big deal. Fucking goofball Stephen A. Smith recently had this to say about it.
It's really, really surprising that this matters. Of course, I think there's a list, but I don't know. I suspect, but I have no knowledge, nor do I care. It's Friday night. I'm getting ready to go out and enjoy myself. I'm getting ready to have a nice weekend. I can give a damn about the Epstein client list. This has no effect on me whatsoever. I have a life. I don't understand for the life of me why this matters so much to these. I'm talking about people losing it. They're crying on camera. They're talking about resignations. They're pissed off about everything. I'm like, really?
That's a fascinating perspective there, Stephen. I see you put on your stupid cap for this. That's very interesting. So it's no big deal to you that children were being raped by Epstein and all of his associates, many of those associates being very powerful political figures? That you don't understand why that would be a big deal or something that people care about? Oh, but you're going out on Friday night to go eat fucking shrimp or something, so you're having a great time. It doesn't affect you. What is even the point you're trying to make here? You're just implying that because you're about to go have a nice Friday night, you have a life, thus you can't be bothered to care about these absolutely heinous crimes that other people seem to care about that you don't understand why. Good news, everyone. Stephen A. Smith is not directly affected by the unthinkable crimes committed by Epstein and all of his associates, so the case is closed. There is no point in even pursuing justice against all of the criminals that were involved. There's certainly no point in talking about it any further. In fact, he is criticizing people that are talking about it still. He doesn't think it's that big of a deal because he's busy. He's a busy guy. He's a very social guy. He's got a function on a Friday night where he can go enjoy some hors d'oeuvres. He doesn't really seem to care all that much about this whole Epstein thing and all the victims there, I suppose. That's what he's implying. So move on. That's the message he's delivering here. It's crazy. He is directly implying that it doesn't affect him. He doesn't seem to care and doesn't think anyone is justified in caring. It doesn't make sense to him why people care so much about these heinous, evil crimes. That is crazy that he is just confidently saying that with his whole chest. He's unafraid to just say how little it matters to him with how evil this shit is. You can see the talking points have now actually hit the desks. So there's a lot of people that are now trying to regurgitate this vomit about it's just not a big deal. It's so surprising anyone cares. And you can see that his cohort here is giggling. His handlers went and programmed some laughter into his protocol so that way they could try and turn this into a joke. Which is the administration has done that before. Remember when they teased the Epstein files release and what they actually did was drop a Rickroll on Twitter for it? It's crazy they have taken one of the biggest pedophiles in history that has the most evil shit ever in it and have made it into this, a joke, and trying to parade it around like it's no big deal and that you're wrong for caring about it.
With all the stuff going on in this country, with all the power that you possess because of the cachet and the influence you have because of your connection to this administration. That's why you upset at Trump. I didn't blame Trump one bit for looking at them and saying, really? That really matters to you? That's really that important? Now, maybe he had a different reason for saying it, trying to be evasive or whatever. I don't know. But I do know this. In the grand scheme of things, it ain't going to affect the lives of over 200 to 300 million Americans. I think we'll be just fine without knowing whether or not there was really a client list. I think we'll be okay. It's unbelievable that this is a big deal to me. It really is.
Holy shit, Steven. You're like Superman. No, you're like an anime protagonist. What a hero with this take. It's unbelievable to Steven that anyone cares about children being raped and being upset that the people responsible aren't being thrown in jail for it. They're not facing any repercussions and they remain in power. He can't process why anyone would care about that. What an interesting perspective, Steven. That is very special stuff. Fascinating. This is fucking unhinged. He is just proudly, confidently saying that people need to just like move on and grow up, that this isn't some like big deal, and he can't wrap his head around why anyone's caring about it. Because he's not directly affected by it because he's gonna go eat dinner. Like, what? What? Like, I'm actually having like a fucking Scatman level meltdown right here, at a loss for words, how people can actually have that mentality. Everyone is affected by this, by the way, because it now proves that there are people that are above the law. And those people are people you directly pay taxes to in a lot of cases, Stephen. Everyone is affected here, you fucking goober. He's not the only one. This has become like a common talking point. I guess the talking point emails went out maybe with a little bit of money under the table for it as well. That this is now what they're trying to regurgitate. They're trying to plant this idea in everyone's head that it's been blown way out of proportion and that you shouldn't care about it. They are trying to convince you not to care about this level of evil and that they will lie directly to your face. Like, you can go to their own words over the last year or so, and you can hear them talk about it very differently, about how important the Jeffrey Epstein investigation is, and the client list, and the blackmail, all those files. Like, that had become a crucial talking point for these same people that are now saying, no big deal, doesn't exist, move on. Ask yourself why. Why? Just please, I'm begging you, do not let someone like Stephen A. Smith convince you that it's not something you should care about. You should. It's extremely important. And it is crazy that it continues to get even more insane with the handling of the entire Epstein conversation. They are so desperate to bury it. It's fucking scary. It's really about it. So yeah. I'm about to have a conniption. I'm sure all of you have seen this by now, but I have to yap about it. It is infuriating. New information just dropped from the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. If you want to call it that. I don't think that nomenclature applies to this circus that's being performed here with all of this. It's a clown show. It's about as much of an investigation as Bozo investigating a pie that was thrown in his face. It's a fucking joke. Read this headline and tell me it doesn't make you fail the try not to fume challenge. This shit has got me steaming. They are trying to, with a straight face, say that Jeffrey Epstein never had a client list and did commit suicide. There was no foul play, no fishy business there. That was no horseradish, no flag on the play, just a classical suicide. Also, no client list, no blackmail, no evidence of either of those two things. How peculiar, considering it wasn't that long ago that they were flaunting that the client list was coming out, the Epstein files were releasing. They even gave the Phase 1 files to a bunch of influencers online for some photo ops, and they were posing like fucking prom pictures. They made a big hoopla that those were the Epstein files in their paws right there. And they'll eventually release to us plebeians out here. Well, if there's no client list, what the fuck is in those folders? What Pokemon card binder? Like, what did you give them? Yeah, apparently there's no client list, so what did you hand them? Just an empty file? An empty folder? And not only that, Pam Bondi herself here, she has made so many statements about, like, how the Epstein client list is on her desk right now. You know, it's over there gathering dust. She'll eventually brush it all off and drip feed us the information as it comes, and everyone that's on that list is gonna face justice. She was cutting WWE promos about the Jeffrey Epstein client list. She'd even set hard dates on when it's gonna drop like it was a new album. Mark your calendars, sports fans. The Epstein files dropping on this date. And then the date rolls around and it's just nothing. Like, actually nothing Burger Central. Like, shit got more delayed than Half-Life 3. It just never showed up, even though she would set dates, and then all of a sudden she's got excuses for why it's not there. But now, apparently there was no client list in the first place, so what the fuck was sitting on your desk, Pam? How could the client list be sitting on your desk when the DOJ and FBI say that there is no client list? What an interesting pickle. That's quite a conundrum. She says that she had the client list, like a physical copy on her desk. She constantly has referenced the client list, spoken directly about the client list. But now all of a sudden, DOJ and FBI said it's not a real thing. I have no idea how she's even going to begin to tackle that plot hole there. It is crazy how stupid they treat the rest of humanity. Like, all of the people on the planet are lobotomites, and they can be fed any information whatsoever, and they'll accept it with a smile on their face and think nothing of it. And in some cases, that does happen. But in something like this, there should be 0 people on the planet that are happy with this and believe this, because this is the most blatant, fraudulent lie since Wes Watson lying about being 6 feet tall. This is absurd. This is just ridiculous. It is downright diabolical to be doing a cover-up job like this. It's literally fart investigated poop and found no shit. They have talked about it themselves for so long about having this client list and all of this blackmail evidence and everything, about how all of them are going to face justice. Pam Bondi talked about tens of thousands of videos that they recovered as well. Like, how are you going to just wipe your ass with that and expect people to believe it? If anyone believes this, you need serious psychiatric help. If you actually swallow this shit they fed you with this information, that it's, a case of suicide, no client list, and no blackmail, you really need to take a hard look in the mirror. Because you are just not like a thinker. Like, you don't have a thinking cap on at all. Because this is just absurd. There should be no one on the planet that is fooled by this. This should make you mad. It absolutely should make you very upset. Because this is blatantly covering up for corrupt, evil people in high positions of power. I saw this said as a joke, but I actually think we're pretty close to them just denying Jeffrey Epstein ever even existed in the first place. I really think the next step here is they're going to start talking about, like, evidence to confirm that Jeffrey Epstein was never real. It was a code name for, like, a shadow operative that never actually existed. There was no island. There were no victims. I think we are not far away from them trying that play, because they are using every weird tactic in the book to try and bury anything even remotely related to Jeffrey Epstein, while trying to put on a strong face about how everyone's going to face justice. Well, where's that? That hasn't happened. And it hasn't happened for years. So what is up with all of this lying? They just keep kicking the can down the road. They have still not released the Epstein files, and now they've put the kibosh on it, saying the Epstein files aren't even real in the first place. It was all just made up, a fucking illusion. So now it is 100% ensuring everyone that was associated with all of that evil gets away with it. And they're just proudly doing it in front of the entire American public's face, spitting in everyone's mouth by trying to say that doesn't exist, it's not real. No client list, no blackmail, nothing like that, and he did kill himself. And apparently they're releasing some surveillance camera footage, like a lot of hours worth of that, to show that no one entered his cell during any of that time. Obviously just doing everything in their power to put the conversation of Jeffrey Epstein and everything around the topic to rest. So now you have the 3-letter organizations all working together, the DOJ, the FBI, the DVD, the VCR, the BBL, all of them working together, now trying to sell this horseradish about there being no client list and no blackmail. Like, I cannot believe that they are just trying to just say that, even though it's been something they've supposedly acted on and investigated for years and made huge progress on, and want to get the information out to the American people because of these dangerous individuals that need to be held accountable and face justice for the crimes that they engaged in on Jeffrey Epstein's island. It was even used as a political talking point for some individuals to gain positions of power, using it as part of their platform about how they're going to fight for justice and release these Jeffrey Epstein files that have been, clogged up for so long and not, the information not out and available to the public. They were going to be the ones to break that dam. They were going to pursue this, come hell or high water, fighting night and day for it. And now those people have been elected only to flip-flop, and now they're totally fine burying the Jeffrey Epstein subject entirely. You should be asking yourself, why? I'll stop ranting on it, but it is just mind-boggling how dumb the government thinks everybody is. And I hope they're not right, because under no circumstances should this be something that people just let go of. Like, oh, this is a bit of a blemish right now, but people forget it in a little while. It's not that big of a deal. It's a huge deal. And there should be nobody out there downplaying it. This is preposterous. And I just had to yap about it. I just said I'd stop ranting about it, but now I'm once again getting fucking wound up about it. That's really about it. So yeah. There's been a lot going on in regards to the Epstein files and been a bunch of emails that have come out. It's been kind of a smorgasbord of new information, surprisingly. And there's even apparently going to be a full release of the Epstein files. It's been voted on, it's passed, but I'll believe it when I see it. I've talked about this on stream. I am fully expecting this to be the same shit, different toilet, repackaging the same material that's been released from the Epstein files 5 times now. I swear to God, these Epstein files have been remastered more times than Last of Us. They keep re-releasing the same information over and over again with a different coat of paint. They're not actually releasing new Epstein files, but they keep pretending that they are, or that what they drop is new Epstein file information. But when you actually look at it, it's the same thing that was released years ago. That's what I'm expecting here, but I would love to be proven wrong. I would love if this is finally some real, unredacted, new information that implicates some horrible, evil people, and real punishment comes their way. Actual justice for the victims. We'll see. I have my skepticism about that. But another thing that's happened in regards to everything Epstein related is those emails that the committee has released. And there's a lot of mysteries there, of course, the biggest being who is Bubba and what cock was in Trump's mouth potentially. And along with that, there are a lot of other people that have now been thrust into the spotlight here for their close association with Epstein, one of them being a goober named Larry Summers. Now, maybe I'm just a Neanderthal who's living under a rock, but I'd never heard of Lawrence Summers until this. But just look at the political power he's had for so many decades now. He was the 8th director of the National Economic Council under Barack Obama's presidency. He was the president of Harvard from 01 to 06. He was also the United States Secretary of Treasury under Clinton. This is a very powerful guy. And when these emails came out, people were quick to notice Lawrence Summers was very chummy with Jeffrey Epstein, even going as far as to have Epstein as his fucking wingman. He was trying to suck farts out of Jeffrey Epstein's ass looking for tiddlywinks of advice on how he could fuck one of his students, a mentee, as he referred to her as. It is so creepy. It is vile, disgusting shit. Larry Summers has been married since 2005. These texts and emails were from 2018 to 2019, him trying to get Jeffrey Epstein's input on how he can have sex with this student of his, and it's just this series of whiny messages from him, this pathetic loser-ass shit that you'd probably find in like the foulest corners of Reddit. And Larry, no carry about his marriage, Summers, is begging on his hands and knees for Jeffrey Epstein to bless him with the guidance so he could have sex with this mentee of his. It is so fucking gross. And these are just what is now publicly available in their messages exchanged. Like, it is probably a lot deeper than this connection between Larry Summers and Jeffrey Epstein. This is just what they have, like, physical evidence of with these messages. I have no doubt Larry Summers being this close, where Jeffrey Epstein will refer to himself as Larry's wingman, I have no doubt these two have probably been in cahoots for a long fucking time. It is scary. Now, I also saw a clip here that someone recorded in their class at Harvard where Larry teaches, and he actually addressed what students were seeing from all of the Epstein information. This was after he made his statement of regret about his connection, calling it like a major error in judgment to communicate with Jeffrey Epstein, the most infamous pedophile in our fucking history. And he had a little bit to say about all of this, hoopla going on.
Some of you will have seen my statement of regret, expressing my shame with respect to what I did in communication with Mr. Epstein, and that I've said that I'm going to step back from public activities for a time, but I think it's very important to fulfill my teaching obligations. And so, with your permission, we're going to go forward and talk about the material in the class.
No, Larry, you don't have my permission to continue teaching. How about instead of going over the material, you go over to the nearest prison and throw yourself in one of the fucking cells? Because it feels like the justice system's never gonna do that for anyone that's closely associated with Jeffrey Epstein and all of his fucking crimes. So why don't you take it upon yourself to do that for us? Now, this video's like a day and a half old. There was an update to this story last night. He is not going to be finishing his teaching obligations at Harvard. They're investigating his ties to child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, and they have made the correct decision to remove him from his position teaching here, which to me sounds like a no-brainer. One of the things in the emails that was revealed is Larry Summers trying to fuck his mentee, one of his students that he was mentoring. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to keep him in that position. That's like keeping the big bad wolf in a classroom with a bunch of little piggies there. So that was the right call, taking him off of that position during this investigation. And I feel like it's probably a pretty easy investigation when there's already a ton of evidence to his close ties to Jeffrey Epstein. The question that remains is, how close are those ties? Did he visit the island? It seems like he was very buddy-buddy with Jeffrey Epstein. I cannot imagine that these 2018 and 2019 exchanges are like the only things that they ever talked about. If I was a betting man, I would make a strong wager that this communication is not the first time they've been closely talking. I don't think Jeffrey Epstein would jokingly call himself Summers' wingman based off of only a few text messages over the course of that year. I would wager that they have been very close for a long time, and I imagine Larry Summers is implicated very deeply in a lot of the Epstein files that we just haven't seen all of yet. And it seems like that hunch is corroborated by a lot of outlets reporting that his correspondence with Epstein had extended for over a decade after Epstein had already been sent to jail for soliciting a minor for prostitution. So it's not like Larry Summers wouldn't know this about Jeffrey Epstein. He was talking to him all the way up until like the day before he got arrested in 2019. There's no way Larry didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was and what was going on there. I just don't believe that. He can call it like an error in judgment all he wants, but he literally had already been arrested for soliciting a minor for prostitution, and that is the guy that Larry Summers was going to frequently for advice on trying to fuck one of his students. I feel like there is no world where Larry Summers wasn't closely tied to Jeffrey Epstein for a long time and wasn't privy to what was going on behind the scenes with Epstein's operation and all of that shit going on there. Now, going back to that video briefly, I find it baffling that Harvard didn't immediately relieve him of his position after the information came out, like while they were about to conduct an investigation. I don't know why he was allowed to go into the classroom and give his statement, like his POV on everything here, and it seems like was even going to continue teaching in some capacity to this classroom. He went in there with, his PR speech like, hey guys, listen, look, you may have read some not so good yucky things about me and Mr. Epstein. I know, not a great look, but we have to remember your minds are hungry and I'm the chef. It's my duty to teach you, so we're here. Get your pen and paper out. Let's go, Poindexters. I have a teaching obligation to fulfill and I plan on doing that. Also, unrelated to everything, I have slots available for mentorship if anyone wants to be mentored by me, to see me after class. Anyway, though, it's time to get back to the teaching. Like, it's so weird to me. Like, I understand they need to investigate the claims, but while doing so, he shouldn't have been allowed back in the classroom in the first place to teach or say that he is going to be able to continue teaching. Like, addressing the elephant in the room is somehow enough, and now all of a sudden he's allowed to be able to still give lectures. Who the fuck is going to want to sit there and listen to this guy who is apparently close friends with Jeffrey Epstein? I'm surprised everyone didn't immediately just get out of their seats and walk out of the class. Maybe they did. It's a very short video. It's entirely possible they did. I just find it odd, is all. Anyway, just wanted to yap a bit about Larry Summers for a bit, and that's really about it. So, yep. Get your protractor out, nerd, because I'm ranting Wumbo style right now. I am so tired of the Epstein files being treated like it's Half-Life 3, where there's all these leaks being teased all the time and then nothing. Nothing ever happens. Just release the files. It's been years, and it feels like every 6 months there's this big push, they're finally coming. It's on the way. Batten down the hatches because you're not ready for this bombshell, and then poof. What? Nothing new. The reason I'm ranting about this is because yesterday I kept reading and kept being told, like, tomorrow's the big day. The Epstein files are finally fully declassified and all of it's coming out tomorrow. The dam has broken, we're gonna know everyone's names, and we're not ready for it because there's names on there you'd never expect, like, fucking Commander Shepard's on there, you know? The Citadel has been compromised. Like, it's like, okay, finally, it's about time, you know? All this red tape, we finally got around it. Good, let's release it. Well, now it's tomorrow, and all I have seen, some people have this binder that they're all holding that says Epstein Files Phase 1, and they're doing this. They're taking prom photos with it. They're just cheesing on top of the binder and still not releasing it. If what you have there are the Epstein files, why don't you make like a fart trapped in my butt and release it? Instead, they're just taking like these photo ops, like they're just looking for Instagram updates. Like, what the fuck? It's starting to just feel completely performative. It's feeling like it's just banished to the shadow realm forever. Because I have seen this as a talking point for a while now when people are looking for like approval on things or trying to get into a position of power. I've seen this as a big talking point, like, hey, if you choose me, when I get in there, come hell or high water, I don't care whose feelings get hurt, I'm releasing the Epstein files. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to take a power stance, lat spread, and teabag this shit, going right into the department, marching in there, slapping the files out of their hand, and I'm putting it in the American public's hands. Take my word for it. Well, now there's a lot of people that can do that, and it's still not happening. The names are still not being released. The most we ever get is these little tiddlywinks of Epstein file morsels that have been known for years, and they parade it around like it's new info. It's so stupid, and I'm beyond tired of it, because there is no doubt so much redacted information that is still not publicly known that I'm fully confident they have access to, especially judging by these pictures they're all posing with, like, here's the Epstein files, I've got them right here. Well, how about you open it and let us take a peek inside if we're that close to releasing it? Like, today was supposed to be the day. At least that's everything I kept reading and getting told. So when is it? When will we finally know all of these names and all of this information? Because it has been so long of the same song and dance. Now, as I've been making this video, a new article just dropped that states that after review of the released documents from today, most of the information has been heavily redacted and previously reported. Also, it's called into question if the information was ever even classified in the first place, and it's drawing, of course, heavy criticism because apparently it boils down to being some of Epstein's phone book. And now I just read another article that said it's being pushed to tomorrow because the FBI director is withholding thousands of pages. It's such a mess. Like, I am fully expecting tomorrow to roll around and still nothing to be there. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. We'll see. But based on what I'm reading from the people that did have access to this huge new information, it boils down to mostly redacted shit, as well as things we already knew, and then some of Epstein's phone book. So when are we actually getting the meat and potatoes, the fucking spaghetti and meatballs of all of these Epstein names and all of this absolutely evil shit that they apparently have had access to for so long but still haven't released? It just feels like I'm perpetually reading BuzzFeed slop headlines in regards to this. The first arrest will shock you. The Epstein files are coming. Okay, that's exciting. When? I'm ready to be shocked. When's that first arrest happening? Why hasn't it happened yet? Like, who is it? Who are you trying to catch? Is it fucking Adam Warlock? Like, why can't we get a handle on them? When is that first arrest happening? Like, if these headlines just keep popping up over and over and over again in regards to the Epstein files, and then there's still nothing that ever gets released. It's at the point now where I really feel like there might not ever be an arrest that comes from it, and there may never come a point where the Epstein files ever get fully released. I also read a couple days ago that allegedly the FBI was working to delete some of the files, so it's just such a fucking disaster. It's so infuriating. And I keep hearing time and time again, like, it's coming, it's almost here. Set your alarm clock. But it's become like the Bloodborne 2 of documents. It just doesn't exist, it feels like. I guess when Jeffrey Epstein mysteriously found a way to kill himself in prison, like, you know, Tony Stark of suicide, he killed himself with nothing but a box of scraps and toilet paper. Somehow, all of the evidence and everything he had vanished with him. And now it only lives on in headlines occasionally about, like, well, it's coming, maybe. No, it's actually coming this time, and then it never does. But again, hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe tomorrow is the big day with a lot of new information, a lot of new names, and maybe, God willing, some fucking consequences for the people on the Epstein list. here's hoping. Fingers crossed. But anyway, just wanted to rant about this briefly. That's about it. So, yep. It's 5 a.m. I got a butt full of poop, but I cannot peel myself away from the computer to go take care of that business. I'm refusing nature's call, and it's not insomnia that's keeping me awake right now. We are in the middle of what I believe to be an actual big development here in the Epstein case. CoffeeZilla just made a video talking about this, as well as giving instructions on how you yourself can get your hands on this latest dump of documents that wasn't supposed to go out yet, but had been accessible to people savvy enough to get their hands on it, and now it's been disseminated. And these are some documents here that I imagine they were probably going to do a little bit more to hide some names and hide certain elements of, because, hooey, boy howdy, I imagine Trump and a lot of the elites are doing this right now. Yeesh. There is some big stuff in here, and I'm not saying that sarcastically this time around. Yes, the vast majority is still like hundreds of pages of completely blacked out, redacted garbage, like it's completely useless. But some of them that they didn't get a chance to go through and just, fucking vanish to the shadow realm has eye-opening stuff that directly contradicts a narrative that the government's been running with for a while.
Here's what that looks like. It's volume 8 of the files, but you can see right now that they've only released 7 data sets. And so myself, the guys at Jmail, and the guys at DropSite, we've been investigating this. I've partnered with them to kind of look at some of these files. And they got access to volume 8 early. You would just type it in the URL. It wasn't like indexable on search, but you could just type in the specific URL and it would just come up. You could download the entire zip file, and that's what we did.
Before anyone tries to cry foul questioning the authenticity of these documents here, this is the actual volume 8. They just made it accessible by pure accident because everyone that seems to be working at the highest level is actually like a thumb-sucking fucking brain-dead moron.
Specifically, I want to draw your attention immediately to the 10 co-conspirators that are mentioned in some of these emails in 2019. Now, this is just alarming stuff because prior to this, remember that all we really had was Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. That's the only people who have ever faced any charges at all. Ghislaine Maxwell, the only one who actually faced consequences, right? But in 2019, apparently there were 10 co-conspirators. Now, the people who were sending this to and from have been blacked out, but at the bottom we see that this is the Violent Crime Section, Crimes Against Human Trafficking Unit.
That is huge information, especially when you consider clowns like Kash Patel saying that there's no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking victims to others or anything like that, making it seem like it was a solo operation and Ghislaine Maxwell, was second fiddle and that's it. And also Maxwell, worth remembering, isn't exactly facing the harshest of punishment. Not real justice there now that she's at a summer camp prison for a little bit, petting service animals. So, I want to also make a side note. Kash Patel needs to be in jail. Like, he literally needs to be arrested. I don't know why perjury isn't something that's taken seriously anymore. There is irrefutable evidence Kash Patel has lied on record about this case. It's crazy that he just gets to do that with pure immunity. But I won't start shitting and spitting about that too hard right now. The important thing about this piece that CoffeeZilla is highlighting is that we now have information that confirms that authorities were looking into other co-conspirators in this operation. Co-conspirators that clearly they must have dropped the leads at some point. They stopped sniffing around, said not worth pursuing, but at one point they did have other co-conspirators and apparently quite a bit of information on them, as the documents seem to hint at and reveal and talk around. So, what the fuck happened, and why are they now pretending that there aren't co-conspirators when we now have hard proof that there was and that they were pursuing for however brief a time?
And additionally, some of the details on this are revealed later because we see this subject line. It says co-conspirators at the top. And it says, blank does not need to head out. We made contact with blank last night in New York City. Blank last night in New York. Contact was made with blank, blank, and blank. By the way, I love how these potential co-conspirators are people who are being blacked out. Like, why? I thought the whole point of this was you couldn't redact people for personal information reasons or for public embarrassment. You could only redact on the basis of it being a victim. And I'm not sure how these people could possibly be victims here.
Epstein Files Transparency Act prohibits redactions, quote, on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. Has anything been redacted on that basis?
Absolutely, positively not.
Liar, liar, plants for hire. His nose about to grow fucking 5 feet with that big old fib. This is inarguable that they are redacting names of people that aren't victims here. As CoffeeZilla points out, these are co-conspirators. The evidence is overwhelming. There's no wiggle room here, no way to weasel out some kind of explanation for why these would be justifiably censored and blacked out and redacted. These are clearly not victims. This is about the co-conspirators. So there should be no exceptions made. Their names should be revealed here in these documents, but they're not. It's been redacted. Why? Who are they covering up for? And why? This is illegal. You cannot do that. And this is inarguably them redacting names of people that are not victims. It's craziness, and it's so blatant, it's right in your face. Like, the proof is in the pudding, and yet I know people are going to deny it still. It's fucking unhinged. There is no world where you can spin a narrative here where these redactions in these places make sense, because there's no way that what they're talking about right there can possibly be minors or victims. These are co-conspirators that are being protected. That's fucking insanity.
But anyways, you can see that it says attempts were made to blank and Brunel, that's Jean-Luc Brunel, the famous who's now dead. Blank is confirmed to live in New York, was away for the holiday weekend. We did not have a good address, but an attempt was made in New York. Attempts are made to Maxwell today. Blank, you get it. Like, it's all the people they suspected this whole time are redacted, of course. And they say, I do not know about Ohio contacting Wexner. Now, that's a reference to Les Wexner, the former CEO of Victoria's Secret. This is huge. We've long suspected that he was, of course, one of the co-conspirators. And obviously, the fact the FBI suspected it isn't a 100% proof confirmation. But clearly, they were serving grand jury subpoenas. I mean, that must be who they're talking about, one wealthy businessman in Ohio, because later it's confirmed by this whole idea of Ohio contacting Wexner.
Even though most of the names are redacted, it's not all of them. So Wexner's name appears here, as well as Brunel, but as CoffeeZilla mentioned, he's dead. He's already burning in hell right now. But Wexner, this was someone that they grand jury subpoenaed, seemingly, and I don't think I've heard a peep about any kind of consequences or justice being served over there, or any kind of like pursuit on analyzing his connections here to all of this, even though he is here in one of the emails here about being a co-conspirator. What happened there? The well ran dry or something? Like, it turns out he was completely innocent? That seems kind of hard to believe. That'd be a surprising, shocking twist, more so than a fucking Darman video. I don't know about that. That seems a little fishy. And again, why are other names here blacked out? Why are co-conspirators being protected? Why aren't their identities being revealed? Food for thought.
And you can see at the bottom, this is from the FBI New York. When you get a chance, give me an update on the status of the 10 co-conspirators. This is really bad to know that we knew as early as 2019 the right people to target, and yet our FBI, who's had evidence of this the entire time, or leads on it, has declined to prosecute. Right? Because this is what the FBI now tells us. Oh, don't bother. Don't worry about it. That's what they wanted us to believe in July. Fast forward to December, we find out there's 10 guys that they knew about since like 6 years ago. It's insane.
It is insane because their position has been like, oh, there was nothing actionable in there. So, stop asking us. Just pipe down. We're busy covering shit up. Stop asking questions has basically been the philosophy. Our hands are tied. There was nothing. It's all a hoax. Actually, no, the files are on Pam Bondi's desk. No, the files don't exist. It's all a hoax. Wait, actually, here's a ton of fucking files. Nothing's actionable, though. And according to Kash Patel, it was just Jeffrey Epstein. Nobody else. Why? It doesn't go deeper than that. That's it. Case closed. It's a fucking mess. It's a complete circus. And now that we have this kind of information out there, it's even more sickening to know that they are just blatantly protecting these pedophiles, these evil, evil people that engaged in unthinkably heinous actions. They are still getting away with it. And they know, and have known since 2019 apparently, that there are others out there, still at large, and are just not doing anything about it, and would instead rather lie saying, oh, there's nothing actionable or anything. Yeah, there was really nothing in there at all. In fact, it was all make-believe. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was never real in the first place. Jeffrey Epstein was the friends made along the way. What are you guys talking about? It's so absurd. It is downright diabolical. The corruption is so blatant, it is right in your face. And even when we are getting drip-fed the tiniest tiddlywinks of information about this case that have been heavily redacted, mind you, we are still seeing just how depraved this is. There is so much evidence that they can't even sweep it all under the rug. We are still finding just how bad this is. Now just imagine what they're keeping from you and covering up, and what they've already probably burned and fucking snapped out of existence. And imagine if they actually did follow the rules here and only redact victim information. Just imagine how many people we could point to as blatantly corrupt and needing to be thrown in jail. For the last 6 years, having this kind of information and not acting on it, and to this day, having so many people in the highest levels of government denying its existence and trying to pretend that it's all fucking phony baloney, make-believe, dirty barnacles, horseradish, it's a hoax, it's not real, that kind of thing. Can you imagine if this information did actually properly release with only victims' information redacted?
Even over here, we see that in one of the lawsuits, I believe this is with Maxwell, the government actually wanted to refer to people at trial as co-conspirators of the defendant, aka Maxwell, for the purposes of a rule. And then they say Jeffrey Epstein, and then there are two names listed there who are going to be listed as co-conspirators. Again, who are those people? We were told that the only co-conspirator now is Maxwell, and if you don't believe that, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist. But back in 2020, this was an idea not just promulgated by wackos, it was promulgated by who? The FBI themselves, the Department of Justice. Look at this. Co-conspirator question transcript. This is from USA NYS. They say, question, when Jeffrey Epstein died, a lot of people asked, who's next? Is the government going to hold people who are accused of helping him recruit these girls? Are they going to hold them accountable? And then the answer is, well, I'll note that the original charges against Jeffrey Epstein contained a conspiracy charge, and we allege that there were conspirators involved. Jeffrey Epstein couldn't have done what he did without the assistance of others. And I can assure you that our investigation is moving forward, except I guess not.
Yeah, that investigation hit a brick wall. That investigation went off the tracks and fell into a fucking nitroglycerin facility and just blew up, because that shit has not been pursued clearly. As CoffeeZilla mentions, this idea of there being more than just Epstein and Maxwell, the highest level of authority has been saying, you're crazy if you believe that, you are falling for, nonsense fairy tale garbage. But even the FBI years ago was saying the same things internally here, and even agreeing that it couldn't have been done alone. They were even moving to call other people associated with this co-conspirators. Information redacted on those names there. But they knew certain individuals to target for this that they were going to be looking into with the investigation, and assuring them that the investigation is moving forward on these co-conspirators, and then it doesn't. Why did it magically stop? What happened? What changed? And why, if all of this information is still at the government's fingertips, do they continue to lie and pretend as though it doesn't exist and that there's nothing here at all that the public didn't already know? They've already given out justice by sending Maxwell to a summer camp. That's all they can do. That's the only power they can muster here.
And what's even more concerning is our president also seems concerned with the wrong people.
The victims were protesting that too many of them were redacted.
I know there are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they're giving their photos of me too. Everybody was friendly with this guy. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy. He can handle it. But you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein years ago, many years ago.
What an interesting perspective. That is a fascinating thing for him to harp on so much about, like, well, we got to think about all the innocent people that met with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, that's what we should be focusing on, and how damaging and how traumatizing this must be for them, those innocent people that hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, you know, all the lawyers and bankers and all of them. Heart breaks for them. Bill Clinton, I can't believe he got wrapped up in this. Love that guy. This is a crazy set of circumstances. He's a big boy, though. Side note, Bill Clinton apparently just put out a statement this afternoon saying release the entirety of the files. So Bill Clinton's like, just do it, pussy. That was a crazy plot twist I certainly didn't expect, because I can't imagine a world where Bill Clinton isn't also wrapped up in this shit. I think that guy is beyond guilty. I bet he had a whole fucking lodge named after him on Epstein's Island. Like, I find it hard to believe that somehow he'd walk out of this squeaky clean. Sounds like mutually assured destruction here, and Bill Clinton's just throwing his meat on the table, challenging him to do so, and I guess we'll see how it all shakes out from there. The thing is, that CoffeeZilla is pointing out, Trump's focus is more about, like, there's innocent people here, we have to keep in mind, think of the innocent multi-millionaire and billionaires that didn't know Jeffrey Epstein for all the bad stuff, they just knew him for cracking jokes and stuff, and, you know, just being a guy, just being one of the dudes. Like, why is that what you're focusing on? Why wouldn't you instead be focusing on trying to catch all of the people that have just completely been swept under the rug? Why would that not be the focus? Why instead would you be pretending none of this is real, it's all a hoax? That's very peculiar. I think that's pretty concerning. And when you do have an opportunity to release the files, why are they so heavily redacted with hundreds and hundreds of pages completely blacked out? That looks very guilty. That looks like a really big admission of guilt.
Now, I'll be honest, he gets off track from here, but the point he was making is that those poor, innocent, you know, bankers who were meeting with Epstein, the poor lawyers who were meeting with Epstein, like all of Epstein's friends are just caught up in this unfortunate thing. And it's just such a reversal of what previously the DOJ and FBI believed. In fact, they believed it so much that they got a federal search warrant for the SDNY, and they got it, and part of the seizable data, part of the stuff that they commanded them to seize as part of the search warrant, and part of it says evidence concerning the identity or location of co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein, including blank and Ghislaine Maxwell. So again, who is blank? Well, they keep redacting the names of these co-conspirators, uncharged, remember, and now they're saying we have no evidence to charge anybody. Clearly, they had evidence for a search warrant, and it's just completely ridiculous that some of this stuff is redacted and that we're viewing the rich and powerful people who are mentioned as the victims here.
Once again, just further evidence that they are indeed scrubbing the name of co-conspirators. These are not victims or minors that they are taking the names out of here. Thus, they are breaking the rules of how this is supposed to go. It is blatant, this cover-up. There is no world where that is somehow a victim there, yet their name has been redacted. Why? Why are they hiding the co-conspirators' identities? It's fucking outrageous. And people should be very mad about this. But I have no doubt, again, it's 5 a.m. right now, so I haven't seen like the full response to all of this now being out there, but I know there's going to be people that are butt-chugging the Kool-Aid to such an unbelievable degree that the delusion has fully taken hold that they're going to go through these mental gymnastics to explain why, actually, there's nothing fishy going on here. This is totally normal. They did everything by the book, and you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Clearly the most transparent administration in American history at work here, obviously. Which just, again, you have so much evidence to prove that this is not by the book here. This is indeed a co-conspirator's name and many other examples of co-conspirators' names being redacted. Not victims, not minors. Unless they're trying to say that these names here are victims, these people that are potentially co-conspirators of Epstein, they're also victims. And in that case, you need to be institutionalized ASAP if that's what you think. That is a fucking crazy take. But I guess it's not the most outrageous thing to picture someone believing when you have someone like Trump who continues to just drive that point home, where it seems like he's not even really focused on the actual victims of Epstein and all of his clients. He's instead more focused on like, oh, the innocent guys, we used to, just go watch the ball game together with Jeffrey Epstein. They had no idea, and my heart breaks for them. Oh, Bill Clinton playing a song on my world's smallest violin. Like, he's just constantly bringing up, like, oh, so many innocent people. They're getting wrapped up in all this Epstein hoopla. I can't believe we're still talking about it. You're a bad person if you're talking about it, which is something he did say, by the way, not too long ago. I highly recommend you go check out the rest of CoffeeZilla's video. He also gives you the tutorial on how you can get your hands on these files as well to check them all for yourself. Now, after combing through them, there were some other big eyebrow-raising moments. One of them, CoffeeZilla also tweeted out. This is from a U.S. attorney who wrote in 2020, Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported or that we were aware, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. And then it concludes with, on 2 other flights, 2 of the passengers respectively were women who would be possible witnesses in a Maxwell case. We've just finished reviewing the full records, more than 100 pages of very small script, and didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. I noticed Trump's name in quite a few documents in this most recent volume. This has been one that is obviously pretty interesting because it's talking about his frequent flyer miles that he was accumulating with old Epstein Airlines, about how he had flown on the airlines far more than they had thought at the time. Now, whether that's before or after all the flight logs, which does show Trump flying on the planes quite a bit, I don't know. Maybe there's more that weren't on the flight logs. I'm not sure. Again, all of this is still brand new, and I guess as more gets combed through, we'll get more and more information. But like I said, I have been glued to this for hours now, and I really just wanted to yap about it because there is some crazy shit in here. This is finally, for the first time in a long time, big new information in regards to this case and people involved in it, and exposing a blatant cover-up of very important information from these files. Now, it's very late in the evening, and all of this is still very fresh. I have no doubt there will be a lot more that comes from this, so I'm just going to try and keep my finger on the pulse of it. I already have no doubt there will be a large number of people that'll plug their ears to it and downplay the significance. I already saw a crazy tweet from some psychopath named Mila. I have no idea who this troglodyte is, but they are now already singing a different tune about why does anyone care about the Epstein files, which is something that was previously tried. Now, in the wake of all of this, it's being dusted off to try again. I truly hope there won't come a time where people start to say that this isn't a big deal, that this isn't something people should care about. This is a massive deal, and everyone should care about this because it implicates the people that control your life. The people in the highest level of power in this country that are actively making decisions on your life and how everything unfolds in this country. And if the people that are in these positions are these evil pedophiles that have been getting away with these crimes, then there's a huge problem there. They need to be held accountable and face justice. You shouldn't want to be ruled and controlled by people that were Epstein clients. Like, I don't know how insane people have become recently, where now they are with a straight face trying to say that Epstein isn't something you should care about. Get over it. That blows my mind. Mila Joy, I suppose, gets her joy from the suffering of children and does so with a big smile on her face. She doesn't care that children were being trafficked and raped by potentially the most powerful people in this country. She doesn't care. She doesn't want them unmasked or thrown in jail. She couldn't care less about that. That's pretty fucking unhinged, Mila. All I can do is cross my fingers and hope and pray that there's not a ton of people with a poisoned, smooth brain like she has. I am hoping there's sensible people out there that are seeing all of this unfold in real time and finally having that come to Jesus moment, that eureka moment of, wow, there's something very, very bad afoot here. But anyway, I'll stop yapping about it for now. I guess we'll see what else comes from Volume 8 here of the Epstein files. Huge hats off to everyone that played a role in helping preserve that initial dump of these files, because I have a sneaking suspicion when these are officially released, when they pop up again, They might not be in the same state. I'm thinking there might be further redactions to them. It's just a hunch. I guess we'll see. Anyway, that's really about it. So, yeah. I was going to wait a bit longer before drooling all over this topic just to see if anything would come from it since it's such a big deal. But I've now very much learned my lesson that there is never going to be anything that comes from anything Epstein related. That's basically how it seems. So I'm sure you've seen by now that with all of those redacted files that they've been farting out, you can actually unredact a lot of them yourself, and you don't even need a double-digit IQ to do it. Here's a quick tutorial that even a Neanderthal can follow along with.
Redacted. So you can go ahead and scroll down till you get to a redacted area. Here's a redacted area right here. Guess what? If you want to look at these files, all you got to do is copy it and paste it into Microsoft Word. And guess what? All the files are unredacted. There it is. So go back to justice.org, find all those files, and start unredacting before they figure out how to stop you.
I've seen only a teensy tiny bit of media coverage on this, not a whole lot of buzz generated from the unredacting techniques here, but from the couple that I've seen, they say things like this: hackers unredact Epstein files. Hackers didn't do it. Your fucking grandpappy sitting down in front of his goddamn iPad could do it too. There's no hacking here. It's Control-C, Control-V. Holy shit. My god, he's like an elite XD hacksaw. Wow. Yeah, it really is that easy. You don't have to have a big brain like Jimmy Neutron for this here. And it doesn't work for all the files, but it works for a good portion of them. And what you will find when you unredact a lot of this is that they very clearly have not complied with the law. They are not following the rules of the redactions, which, mind you, are supposed to be reserved exclusively for victims and minors, that kind of thing. But when you unredact a lot of this information, you are finding information that is not related to a victim, a minor, anything like that at all. There are numerous examples of these improper redactions being applied to these files here. There are more examples of that than there are of me being short. You can find so fucking many. And it's kind of like a lot of crickets in mainstream journalism right now in regards to this unredaction technique a lot of people have employed on TikTok, and even like Asmongold has done it on stream as well. And what they're finding is, yeah, it is inarguable that these redactions are not following the rules. There's like this article here that's written about like the redactions on 184 through 192 that were describing taxes paid by companies incorporated by Epstein properties that were not on the balance sheet. And at the end, it even says it's unclear how property material complies with the redaction standard under the law. An inquiry to the Department of Justice has not yet been answered, and it probably won't be answered because the sad reality of it is law doesn't apply to people at a certain level of power. The law is like simply here for plebeians, it seems. And it's not even subtle. Fucking goofball Kash Patel can go under oath and lie out of his ass out the wazoo till the cows come home with a straight face and a limp dick, talking about how they don't have any credible evidence that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to anyone, so it's just Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell, that's it. If you believe anything else, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. And now with these files, we have provable evidence that they at least knew of 10 other co-conspirators that apparently they just decided to throw in the garbage can and never pursue. But we have so much evidence to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt he is lying, yet he won't face any perjury charges, he won't be arrested, he'll just keep fucking cruising podcasts like they're glory holes here about how he's doing such a good job and puffing up his chest and shit. None of these people that are just blatantly lying and breaking the law will ever be held accountable here. All of these improper redactions that don't comply with the law, don't comply with the rules here, everyone responsible will not face any repercussions. I'm so confident in this, it's fucking sickening. Nothing's going to happen. And it is so incredibly sad. And not only is nothing going to happen, nothing's going to happen and people are going to cheer for that too. I've already seen the narrative shift to like, who cares about the Epstein files, and all these crazy mental gymnastics to downplay the significance of the biggest child sex trafficking operation in our country's history, where there are still unbelievable amounts of people that got away with these heinous crimes, still potentially in the highest levels of government, and people are just saying like, doesn't matter. That's not the important stuff. And make no mistake, this wasn't some innocent whoops-a-daisy where they accidentally redacted information that they weren't supposed to, but they were trying their best to be super transparent and comply with the law. This was on purpose. It's by design. This is a cover-up. It's not a conspiracy. It's in front of your face. You can unredact the information yourself, and it doesn't take a lot of technical prowess to do so. You can confirm this yourself. They are trying to protect these pedophiles. They are running defense for evil, evil people that they have knowingly collected all this information on and decided to do nothing with for years. Not just this administration, the last administration too, obviously, but the point is, right now, they're still doing all they can to protect these people. That is unacceptable in a sane society. And anyone who writes that off as like not a big deal is a fucking lunatic. Like beyond pathetic loser worm. Now, if you're wondering how this even happened with being able to unredact this yourself, is because so many people working in the government are just actually incompetent. I don't mean that like exaggeratory. I mean like they legitimately like diaper wetting, paint chip eating fucking idiots over there. So the likely explanation here is they use the highlighter tool to black out the information, but they didn't actually redact it. So when you copy and paste it, it's still there. They didn't even actually redact it. That is how bad at their jobs they are. And I've seen a theory floating around that maybe this is on purpose from a whistleblower who was tasked with redacting information but wanted it to get into the hands of the American public, so they instead did like the highlighter tool as opposed to redacting it. And I'd be willing to motorboat those titties, play ball with that idea, if we hadn't seen so many examples of just pure incompetence at the highest level. I truly just think it's clear that the people in these positions are just like actual fedora tipping Reddit twerps, like based on how they shitpost on Twitter and everything, and that they legit just can't do their jobs very well. Side note, anyone remember this little golden nugget where they literally rickrolled the Epstein files release, treating the most notorious, infamous child sex trafficker, as well as all of the information in regards to his clients and all of these evil crimes, as a joke? Anyone remember that? I think it's pretty evident that a lot of the people in these positions are actually just fucking dumb. So I'm not willing to believe that this was some kind of internal whistleblower trying to do the right thing. I just think that they are actually fucking lobotomites, just genuinely stupid, and didn't realize that blackout highlighter doesn't actually redact the information. It's wild they can't even do the simplest things correctly, like redact information. You can literally click like 2 buttons in order to do that. And they can't even figure that much out. They are knowingly making a conscious decision to violate the law here in regards to these Epstein file redactions. And even while doing that, they can't even figure out how to redact the information properly. Thus, they get caught with their pants down. They can't even do the cover-up correctly. And still, even though their whole ass is out, goat seed, on full display for everyone, every single human being on the planet that wants to download the files and unredact it themselves, they can see that they broke the law by redacting things that aren't minors and aren't victims. Even this being 100% confirmed will still probably not lead to a single person being fired or a single individual in a higher level of power here even facing some finger wagging. It's just that bad right now. They can do anything they want with complete immunity. And it's just so outrageous. It's infuriating. I had to yap about this a bit because I've now learned that there won't be anything that comes from it. So might as well blabber about it now. That's really about it. See ya. Boy howdy, I can't believe it. The title is not clickbait. This is big. Color me blue and call me a smurf. I'm looking real stupid right now because I've been quite the Scrooge bah humbugging saying that it'll never happen. They'll never release the Epstein files. And look what happens. Random Friday evening, they drop these puppies. Oh, you know, the same Epstein files that the government also tried to say aren't real are actually a huge hoax and you're an idiot if you believe in them. They're like the Tooth Fairy or something. No such thing. Oh, well, here's those Epstein files that we said not long ago weren't real, by the way. Finally, all of the information on all of these evil pedophiles right here at our fingertips. We get one sentence and then pretty much everything else redacted. And this isn't some isolated incident where I'm cherry picking shit. The bulk of these files are heavily redacted, and heavily doesn't even do it justice. It's so beyond that. Like, it is redacted to a comical degree where it would be laughable if it wasn't just so blatantly evil. Like, look at the thumbnail here. You could close your eyes and see the same thing that these files show you, which is just nothing. Darkness. I always said if they do release it, it'll probably be heavily redacted. I didn't even expect it to be this extreme. This is crazy. They don't even let like a couple of like rogue words fly, like random like the or and. It's all just blacked out emptiness. They released hundreds of pages of it's unfucking believable. Yeah, we've really got these evil pedophiles on the ropes now. Now that the most transparent administration in history has dropped these puppies fresh on our laps here. Look at this. Wow. We've really got them now. We've got them cornered. Surely they'll be held accountable with this out there.
We'll talk about blacking out. I don't know if I can get a close-up of my phone. This is one of the documents that the Justice Department released. It's 100 pages.
Right.
This is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see. It's all black. It's just 100 pages of redaction. That's the transparency we're getting here.
Right, and I'll point to...
This is like the LaCroix of Epstein files, where it's the idea of the files themselves, not actually providing anything. Imagine scrolling through those 100 pages of just pure void emptiness. What the fuck? That is absurd. Now, it's not just these empty files that they plopped out there in the open. They did also provide a lot of new photos that show people like Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell, as well as like Chris Tucker, even Michael Jackson. Like, there were a large amount of photos that weren't previously public. And in those photos, there are individuals whose identity is redacted. They have like the giant black square over them. They've been censored. And I thought that was supposed to be for victims, you know? But according to what I read, this actually comes from Fox News. They said the Justice Department redacted the names and identifiers of victims. Fox News Digital has learned that the same redaction standards were applied to politically exposed individuals and government officials. What the fuck? Why would those same redaction standards be applied to politically exposed individuals? That's like the most important individual to be exposed in these Epstein files. Why would that under any circumstances be suitable for a redaction? That's fucking crazy. So, like, they can just be censored out like it's fucking Super Smash Bros. Melee when you're about to unlock a new fighter through, like, a challenge approaching you. Why? That makes no sense. That should just be reserved solely for the victims here. I don't understand, if this is true, why they would be able to redact that kind of information on politically exposed individuals. And it doesn't apply to all politically exposed individuals, clearly, because Bill Clinton is completely unmasked here. He is just, like, raw out in the open in these photos, as well as others, like I mentioned. So it was, I guess there was exceptions for some of them. I'm not exactly sure how the ruling all worked. There's like a bunch of like nuance to it here. It's very confusing, but under no circumstances should there have been exceptions for these politically exposed individuals in the Epstein files and photos. That's really peculiar, and that really seems extremely corrupt because they should all be going to jail. Like, take, for example, Bill fucking Clinton here. This guy's like the Ronald McDonald to Jeffrey Epstein's empire of child sex trafficking. This guy is in so many photos with so much evidence to support how deeply involved he was as a client. We now have even more photos of him, and still nothing has happened to Bill Clinton. The only person with more photographs with Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell is Trump. And speaking of Trump, he is doing everything in his power to ensure Maxwell has the easiest time imaginable. Maxwell, the only person, by the way, who has ever faced even an iota of punishment for all of the innumerable, unthinkable, heinous crimes with Jeffrey Epstein's empire of child sex trafficking, the only person who faced even the slightest punishment, he has now ensured went from a prison to a fucking summer camp where she gets to, like, pet training service dogs now, and she lives luxuriously there. It's pretty weird. I think it's very odd that these files are so heavily redacted. I think there's also a very good chance that the photos released were probably not the entire kit and caboodle. I would bet there were probably even more photos that we don't have access to and have probably been completely burned and buried somewhere that just don't exist anymore. That would be my guess. And if you're wondering about any new photos of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein or Maxwell, there's not really anything new there, but he does appear in a few of these photos they released, like this one where there is a framed photo of him with Jeffrey Epstein and Melania in between, as well as this right here where you can see two different pictures of Trump in the drawer. So overall, no like new photos of them together, but there is a framed one and a couple in that drawer, so he did like to keep photos of Trump around of the two when they hung out. And it's hard to say if there's any new evidence there because there isn't anything new in the files themselves since it's all fucking redacted. So the only thing like new here are some of these photographs, which also are redacted. And while I thought it was supposed to be reserved solely for victims, it seems as though there is the potential that it was also used to hide politically exposed individuals. I don't know if that's 100% confirmed or not, but there is now a lot of hoopla saying that this doesn't comply with what was actually sought, and they are looking to pursue further action because they redacted so much that they weren't allowed to. So I guess we'll see how it all shakes out, but holy shit, I still cannot believe what they released here in the state that it is. I can't believe they thought this would go over well with literally anybody to release hundreds of pages of pure redactions. That's unbelievable. But as far as the new photos go, I don't see how that's not actionable to at least try and investigate further. In particular, someone like Bill Clinton, who's here constantly. This guy's popping up like it's Where's Waldo, but he's really easy to spot. I don't understand how, if all this information has existed for this long, and even in this administration that was denying its existence, why don't they do anything about what they have? I feel like it should warrant, at the very least, some further poking around to see what the fuck was happening here. Like, it just makes no sense to me until you start to realize that all of these people in power, this administration, the previous administration too, who also didn't release anything of substance when it comes to the Jeffrey Epstein case, still nobody's been punished. It's very clear when you realize that there are people on both sides of the political aisle here that are implicated, and should someone like Bill Clinton fall, there's a chance that many others do too that they don't want being exposed. I think that's probably why there's been so little action being taken. It's just so fucking sickening how blatant this corruption is just out in the open. And now with these documents they released, if you can even call them that, it's even more clear as day just how deep this rot goes. It's fucking absurd. Anyway, I had to yap about this a bit. That's it. So yeah. Do you see it? Look closely in the palm of my hand. To the untrained eye, it may appear empty, but you have to use your third eye to see the truth. What lays before you in the palm of my hand, my little greasy bare paws, are the Epstein files. Nothing. It's imaginary. Because this administration still refuses to actually comply with the law. Even when they did release like their couple of batches of Epstein files, they also didn't comply with the law because they redacted names that weren't victims, which has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. And now it's been, what, a month past deadline, and they are still kicking the can down the road. And now, like a bucking bronco, they're putting up a real fight where now the DOJ is basically saying in their most recent filing that no court can order them to release these Epstein files. They can't force the release. They're basically gloating that they're kind of above the law, is the impression I get from reading through this. Now, a lot of it's legalese, so a bit of it's a bit above my pay grade, but from everything I've read from the experts who have went through this filing, this is the DOJ once again refusing to cooperate and is now just kind of outright saying that no one can really force them to do this. It's fucking sickening. What is supposed to be the most transparent administration in American history seems to have a real issue with transparency when it comes to the Epstein files for some fucking reason. Really makes you think, doesn't it? And speaking of thinking, I want to turn my attention to someone who hasn't had a thought in years. Pam Bondi. She farted out a super strong statement on Twitter that's no nonsense. A reminder to all those in Minnesota, no one is above the law. Mic drop moment. Literal chills. Scam Bondi here is alting. She's really laying it all on the table. But, let's be honest here, Pam. That's not exactly true now, is it? Because there are clearly people who are above the law. It's anyone that's associated with Jeffrey Epstein and the client list. Really, Pamela, it kind of makes me wonder if this could be an actual defense strategy people could employ. you know, like just claiming that they're on the Jeffrey Epstein client list. I wonder if that would just give them full immunity. Because I imagine it'd be like activating God mode in a video game, because this administration, they won't pursue shit if that's the case. So saying that you're on the Jeffrey Epstein client list, that's like Harry Potter putting on the invisibility cloak. Or Bilbo Baggins putting on the fucking One Ring. Just vanish out of this administration's eyes. But not only that, not only do you go invisible, they will jump on a live fucking grenade and do everything in their power to protect you. So, I don't know, I feel like that Ford worker that called Trump a pedophile protector was really onto something there, because there's a lot of pedophile protecting going on every single fucking day from this administration. How else can you possibly explain their reluctance to release the Epstein files and how hard they fight to stop it from coming? And since this administration won't do it, then we have to rely on some real heroes amongst us. These fucking clowns, these goddamn freaks that were given the Epstein Phase 1 binders. These online influencers were apparently holding the Epstein files, smiling and giddy, posing like it's the goddamn prom photos with the Epstein files, and since then, crickets. Why don't you guys release the files? You got the binders, right? Since the government won't be transparent, why don't you guys do it? You're supposed to be like fighting for the American people and shit, right? That's what you pretend to do online. You had the Epstein files, apparently. Why don't you just put it out there? It's just food for thought. I don't know. Now, of course, you'd have to be on the crack pipe to think any of those frauds actually got the Epstein files. I bet in those binders was just pictures of Trump's butthole just goatseeing or something. They clearly didn't get anything, and they are clearly just staying silent about all of this. I haven't seen any of them come forward with their binders since then, so I'm led to believe that they didn't actually get anything at all, and this was just a photo shoot. That's all. Nothing else. Now, back to the main topic here with the most recent filing where the DOJ is outright taking a victory lap about how untouchable they are and how they're really just not able to be forced to release the Epstein files. Let's dive into what's happened here, the most recent news. Yesterday, the DOJ moved to block the appointment of an independent monitor or special master to oversee the release of Epstein-related records in the Maxwell case, arguing that no federal court has the authority to compel such disclosures. It's 6 pages, and you can look at it yourself if you want to really get into the nitty-gritty of it, which I honestly do recommend because there are some eyebrow-raising statements in there. In a nutshell, though, they are trying every trick in the book to weasel their way out of actually having to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. They're basically arguing that the forced production of the so-called Epstein files amounts to an improper attempt to reopen a concluded criminal case and to create a form of judicial oversight that Congress itself did not authorize. There's a lot to digest in there in only 6 pages. They really give you a lot to fucking suck on, and they're not exactly subtle about it. There's even mentions of the representatives that have led for the passage of this Epstein Files Transparency Act, where they're calling into question, like, if they even had, like, the gusto to do so. At least that's how it reads to me, where they're questioning the standing that they have in order to even do something like this. In the actual filing, it really seems like they just started pissing on them as, like, saying they're not big enough to do this. Like, it felt like the actual filing was like, these guys are fucking nobodies and don't have the standing for it. But anyway, they asked the court to appoint a special master or independent monitor to compel DOJ compliance with the act, which the DOJ flatly opposes. To go a bit further, they argue that even if the court were inclined to entertain the request, it could not do so constitutionally. This is in regards to some of the things from the Epstein Transparency Act, and they assert that the representatives here they haven't suffered a concrete, particularized injury, and the Epstein Files Transparency Act does not create an individual right to obtain information, unlike the Freedom of Information Act, nor does the act authorize lawmakers or anyone else to sue the DOJ for alleged non-compliance. When I read that, I let out an involuntary noise of disgust, because that's just being very blatant and open about it. Like, yeah, if we don't comply, you can't do anything about it, dork, you fucking dweebs. Go kick rocks, pussy. If we don't comply, you can't sue us or anything. To harken back to Scam Bondi, it really does feel like there are some people above the law. I'm gonna be honest with you. Despite what your tweet is boldly stating, I do think there are some people above the law, Pam, and they might be right under your nose. Again, I'm kind of jumping around here. I recommend reading the whole thing, but In closing, prosecutors maintain that the act provides no cause of action at all. Where Congress has not explicitly authorized judicial enforcement, federal courts are barred from inventing one. As the DOJ puts it, courts cannot reach out to award remedies where neither the Constitution nor a statute authorize them. In short, the government's filing makes clear that absent new legislation explicitly authorizing court enforcement, the DOJ believes no court can force it to produce the Epstein files, regardless of public pressure or congressional intent. Real quick, to briefly tie this back to good old Scam Bondi, since she wants to bring up Minnesota, there's this big thing, this big talking point about comply. Well, why does compliance only apply to American citizens? Why doesn't it apply to the DOJ as well, who is not complying with the law? They are also supposed to be governed by the law too. According to Pam, no one's above the law. So why aren't they complying with it? They have been routinely violating the protocol set in the law with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. They are not complying with it. And in this most recent filing, they are even openly saying, if we don't comply with it, you can't sue us or anything. They are even saying in their own statement about non-compliance, why would they even be teasing that notion of non-compliance? Why won't they just comply? Why are the administrative authorities not talking about the DOJ's reluctance to comply with the law? I don't know, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Pam, it feels like some people are above the law, doesn't it? I don't know, I'm just getting a whiff of that for some reason. Anyway, that's your most recent Epstein Files update. It's not looking like it's ever actually going to lead to anyone getting arrested in regards to the Epstein client list. Who would have seen that coming? Unthinkable that this administration wouldn't be pursuing action against those evil, fucking heinous villains in the Epstein client list. It's so odd that they wouldn't be transparent in releasing these files. One of the main things Trump ran on was about releasing these Epstein files. So many in his supporter base were very excited to see that happen, and now it's not happening, and they're fighting tooth and nail every step of the way over the last year to prevent this from happening. And now, even though there's an actual act, a law put into place that they're supposed to follow to release them, they're still not doing it, and are now even just saying, yeah, maybe we won't. No courts can really make us do that. And if we don't do that, you can't sue us for it either. I feel like anyone should have a big problem with that. I feel like any sane, sensible person should immediately view this as the biggest possible red fucking flag. And it seems to me that that Ford worker that called Trump a pedophile protector to his face, which elicited a finger and a fuck you from the big man in charge, it really seems like that pedophile protector nomenclature feels accurate for Trump in this administration, based on all available information here for how hard they don't want these Epstein files to come out. Feels like they're doing a lot of pedophile protecting. That's really about it. So yeah,